Press start.
Might as well start the episode. Episode 163.
Should we start it by just saying F Kyle Neely? F him.
No.
No.
No,
Kyle's actually the
Kyle.
best of us. Kyle's the best. Yeah.
Whoa.
Just 7 out of 10.
That's actually the
It's
tournament
a
we're gonna have today. The
He
tournament
is swimming. He's swimming in 7.
It's
No.
podcast. It's podcast host tournament. So we'll see how he does without being here. Just kidding. But yeah, hopefully Kyle can join us later. But if not, then it's just the four of us. Myself, Jeffrey. Good evening.
Hello there.
Daniel
Hola.
and Spider-Man Derek with
Hey,
some kind of anime lady behind you.
How dare you?
I'm doing all this to pump up my chances of winning best podcast host of the year.
You're on the right track. Spider-Man, Persona 5, right? Isn't that what she's from?
No,
and
no, put him
I
away.
heard
Put
that
him away.
like chest hair, like
put him away.
Put him away.
chest hair helps.
Oh no,
improve
Jeff too. Oh, everyone's getting into it. Oh no,
chest
I have a
hair.
lot of that. I can like.
everyone's doing it.
I can
All right,
style it.
well, guys,
Alright.
don't do things just because everyone does it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so
yeah.
what we'll do is just in case Kyle's able to join us. Actually, could you guys message on in our chat? Just let him know like he can join late if he does decide to join. That's totally
Yeah,
fine.
I'll message now.
So we'll start with kind of some new stuff, maybe some stuff we're playing, and we'll circle back to the tournament towards the end. One thing we talked about as a crew this week was, hey, how do we make best use of our time? Because I got to be honest, I feel like we could probably get together multiple times a week and talk for several hours. Not only are we friends, we get along, we make each other laugh, but there's just a lot that we're interested in. So there's plenty that we could talk about. But in the interest of being respectful of each other's time and our listeners' time, we are going to try to rein it back on the podcast episode length, unless there's something really unique, right? If there's some kind of big event that happens or we're
Like
responding-
E3.
E3.
E3 this year should be huge.
Yeah, this year we're going to have a long E3 episode. It'll be longer than E3, I'll tell you that.
Huge.
Um,
Gonna be
but-
huge.
But yeah, like if we're doing a ranking, like last week we did a ranking that took an
My
hour and a
E3s
half.
are huge.
And then the
Maybe.
rest of the podcast content took like an hour and 15 minutes because we kind of sped through it. So that overall episode was quite long, but we did a ranking. So that's what happens. Just so you know that we are aware of it. We're trying to be respectful of each other's time and your
Was
time.
there like comments about this that I missed? Did I
No.
miss some sort of?
I literally just made one comment saying like if I was running this like a business, I would cut some stuff. I would edit some stuff out. It was actually making fun of somebody else. I'm not going to mention their name
okay.
and their desire to edit everything.
Yeah, the
But
dark
it was,
time.
that was
right.
it was literally just that comment. It wasn't even like a passive aggressive comment.
No, but
Everybody's
we've
like,
gotten
yeah, we
comments
should
in
cut it. We
we have
cut it
gotten
down."
comments in the past about, going a little too long, but I also sometimes
Yeah.
feel it. If we get to the end of an episode, and
I'm
sometimes
exhausted by
sometimes
like
I'm
1,
just
1:30.
drained,
I'm like,
and I'm like, you know what? We're not quite as sharp. We're just kind of like fading here at the end, even though there's
Yeah.
still a list of things we want to get to. So I
agree.
want to pull that pressure off of us a little bit, and if we can. But don't forget, we do have a podcast on our YouTube channel. You can go check it out, and it's also you can find it on Spotify and Apple and everywhere else. Current Cinema, where you can get deeper insights into stuff that's being watched, specifically movies. And Jeff leads the way on that one with Kyle, and Derek's joined him. I'm sure at some point Daniel and I will get on there to talk about movies or franchises
Definitely.
that we are really into. And so, but please check that out too, because it might sound like we fly through it on this show, and it's not because we're not interested. All of us love watching stuff. That's actually probably like 50% of our conversation is new shows, movies, things we're watching in addition to playing. It's just this podcast, mostly gaming, that one, mostly watching, but there'll be certainly some overlap. Like even this week, there's a little bit of overlap, which is totally fine.
Definitely.
So there you go. A little housekeeping. Not a whole lot of new games this week, though. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Not a lot of.
I didn't even touch any, honestly.
Which
You did more work than any of us, honestly, Tim. Like, I mean, I think you put a couple in there that are really tiny releases that I didn't even know anything about. But one of them looks really cool to me.
Yeah. Which is kind of nice, though, right? It's a little bit nice to have like, okay,
It's definitely.
nothing.
Well, it allows me to
Fine.
finish, certain things. So, the breather time in between the big releases is appreciated. So,
Yes.
Yeah. I've actually really enjoyed it because I've watched a couple of things that I've wanted to catch up on, and played a few games. I'm still trying to finish off a few games from earlier this year, and so I'd like to do that. So, but there are a couple of new games. I don't think any of us are playing Tron Identity.
No.
Is it called Disney's Tron Identity officially? Is it like a Tom Clancy thing?
I didn't even know this was a thing.
I think it's an adventure game. They announced it last year, or maybe it was before that. I'm pretty sure it was announced last year.
It looked more like a visual novel, so I just wrote it off.
Yeah, I think it's like it's not a like gameplay centric game.
Is there any reviews for it? Anybody?
On Steam, the reviews are very positive from the users, but there's only 83 of them.
Okay.
It kind of went under the radar for being such a notable IP, I thought.
GameSpot has it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7. I've seen 7 and 8s. So nothing.
So
nothing
is it like a Telltale game? Like it's just
Um,
story driven, walking around.
I wish I
talking?
knew enough about it, but it says visual novel adventure in the description.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also an old game on iOS from like 10 years ago called Tron Legacy. So I don't know.
Or Tron Identity, really?
Oh, but this is Identity, right? That was
Yeah.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Legacy is like the same name of the movie, so it might be like a
That was-
franchise.
Oh
was-
yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Okay, so Identity. Thank you. I kept saying the wrong name. Okay. Let's see here.
Cool imagery though. I
It's
mean,
Dis-
Tron
yeah,
is very
Yeah,
Disney-
Tron has always got cool imagery.
Disney Tron Identity. It's only out on Switch and PC from what I can see, and it's getting
Oh.
pretty solid
Interesting.
7s across the board.
Switch and PC. That's interesting.
So I should be buying it, but I'm not gonna.
It's getting actually the Switch one's at 77 for whatever that's worth. So there you go.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, Tron Identity. I keep saying Legacy. Tron Identity is out this week. There's also it's another smaller game, but I think it's really cool. It's called Hunt the Night, and it's the way it touts itself is like Zelda meets Bloodborne, but it's kind of a overhead pixel art style action RPG. Certainly not for everybody. It is very difficult. Even that opening dungeon that you're working your way through up to that first boss, which is all teaching you elements of the game. I died a whole bunch of times. I was like, man, this game is pretty brutal, but it's got really cool pixel art. I think they do a nice job with the animations. It looks really nice, and the combat feels pretty good. Very heavy on the dash and dodge mechanic in that game. But yeah, there's a lot of different weapons to pick up. Some are just what you would think in an action RPG. The larger, more powerful weapons swing really slowly. The smaller ones that can swing really fast do much less damage, but you can do some cool combos. You also have a like a gun, a revolver that has 6 bullets in it, and the way that you reload that is by getting off melee combos. So if you every time you shoot a bullet, the chamber will stay empty. There's no reload button. You have to get off melee combos to refill your gun, or do it, or hit a save point to refill the gun. So, and you can upgrade all that stuff. There's lots of different things to upgrade and improve. I don't sense the same punishment from a FromSoft game on dying, where like go back and get your stuff, and if you don't get it in time, it's gone. If that happens, then I'm just not far enough into the game, because every time I've died so far, all my stuff is still with me. Even the items that I found is still with me. I just have to.
I gotta be honest. I'm kind of like ready for that whole thing to go away. Like unless it's like
the punishing death stuff.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
unless it's a FromSoft game where they do the combat, in my opinion, perfectly, and the whole world and lore and everything's perfect. Sure, keep that. That's your thing. But all these people like even trying to like bring it into mainstream type games, I would
Yeah, a
like
lot
for
of
it to
them.
die off a little bit.
So many do it, right? Like go back and collect your stuff from your body.
Well, that's what the suits like to see. You know, oh, this is trending, so let's just make the game.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's just like this, you know, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Again,
it was
if you do it good, I don't mind, but a lot of them don't do it good. And if you're not interested or interesting, why would I stick around for something that's we all know is difficult?
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think a lot of that has to do with how fun is the game to play. Because if it's so incredibly fun to play, you almost don't mind going back to where you died last time, because it's fun just getting back there. It's fine.
Yeah.
They just do such a good job of it. So some games do a great job of that. Not all of them, that's for sure. But this one doesn't punish you like that, as far as I can tell yet. And so I think it's really cool. The idea is, it's very kind of a simple vampire-like story. I think the setting and style and the enemy style is pretty cool. Apparently, it gets really challenging. That's what I've read on most of the reviews, is that it gets real tough real fast. And I agree. Even in like just that little opening area that I've played through for about an
you
hour.
bought it or did you do the demo?
I did buy it. Yeah, because I had played the demo during a Next Fest last year,
Oh,
and I thought, hey, this is a pretty slick little game, and so I went ahead and got it. So it's $20. It's a great one to kind of keep on your radar on sale if you guys like that kind of game. So there you go. Hunt the Night. But isn't that crazy? Like those are the only two games that jumped out at me as like notable that released. Am I missing anything else?
well, there was a Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened remake
Yeah,
that
but
dropped.
that looked
but
really bad.
yeah, those games are always like very AA looking and feeling. Like they just feel very rough to play. And also, the detective mechanics, I'm just too stupid for. Because I've played the demo for that game, and there was the last Sherlock Holmes game that came out like last year or the year before that. And I just hit like a wall at a certain point, and I'm just like, oh, I'm stupid. And I just left. I left it. I'm not interested. Like if I have to look it up, I'm not being a detective myself. That's the point of the game.
It is hard to do those really well because you want it to be like not obvious, but also not so impossible to figure out.
Right.
Striking that balance is difficult, you know.
Very, very. I'm trying to remember a detective game that did that well. I guess The Wolf Among Us had some of those mechanics. Where you kind of had to figure it out along the way.
Well,
or
LA
else you
Noire
fail the
was
story,
interesting,
you know?
right?
LA Noire was great.
Because you're investigating the crime scene and then you're using those elements to interrogate someone, and then that depends on how you ask the questions and how they respond. So,
right.
You know.
There is a game I see on Steam right now that just came out today called Rewind or Die. So let me read the description to you.
I guess I'll die.
It's listed as a survival horror indie retro game. Here's the little blurb. There's a serial killer stalking your video store, and you just got called into work on your day off. Stock shelves, deal with customers, and run for your life.
Oh, Lord.
Sounds terrible.
So it's set in the UK back with the 90s VHS video store setting.
Graphics look like an N64 game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'm like a little more current than N64, but not that much more current.
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't quite give it like a GameCube or PS2 vibe, but it's more PS1 and 64.
It's like Arcade Paradise.
I was actually going to make a joke about like, oh, I wonder if you work in a VHS store and you have to like confront customers that don't rewind their videos. I was almost there.
And you beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
There's also the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collections.
Yes,
I do think those are. I mean, there's a lot of games in there, so I guess I can't complain about it too much. But $40 for each collection, it just seems like a lot. But those are cool.
Wait, each collection, it's not just one.
Right. There's Volume 1, Volume 2.
They love doing that. They did that with the Mega Man X too. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
So
let's play more of those.
It's just fine. That's the kind of thing though that I fully expect to see on a big 50, maybe even more % discount, come some kind of sale here in a little while. Just looking to see if there's anything else I missed. Oh, War Tales was an interesting turn-based strategy game. I played the demo of that last year too. It wasn't really my thing. It was a little punishing, I thought. But yeah, if that's your deal. I really like the setting. I kind of like that setting of medieval Viking era. I think it's kind of cool.
Oh,
so yeah,
like Vikings?
I do like Vikings, you guys. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Speaking of which, that is the only real new thing that I watched this week was The Last Kingdom: 7 Kings Must Die movie that released on Netflix today. I won't talk a ton about it because the best way I can sum it up is to say if you watched the series and enjoyed it, as I did, don't know if you guys knew that. I like that show.
Yeah, we didn't know.
This is honestly, it's like an epilogue. It's kind of like having a 2-episode tack on kind of epilogue with here's where everyone is, here's a final conflict that they have to deal with. And it all makes sense, but I do think if I were to watch it as a standalone movie, not having seen the show, I'd probably be like, all right, it was fine. But I didn't have any stakes for these characters or what happens to them, or like betrayals don't feel as big of a deal. Decisions to stay loyal don't feel like that big of a deal unless you've seen the show. So it's really, and some shows, or some movies that kind of spin out of a show do a really good job of still being a good standalone movie. Like the first one that comes to mind was Serenity with Firefly.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
true.
actually thought
That's true.
standalone, really solid flick because I saw it before I went back and watched Firefly.
Same here.
And I thought the Serenity movie was pretty fun. Oh, it was based on a show. What was that show? Oh, it was canceled. That's a bummer. Like I remember that whole process, and then going back and watching it and discovering one of my favorite shows. What a tragedy that it got canceled. You know what I mean? It was that whole. I'm sure a lot of people had that experience too. But this is not that case. This is not a good standalone one. I think it's more like a 3 out of 5 for most folks who haven't seen the show because there's too much left unsaid. It's a less than 2-hour movie, and they try to squeeze a lot of story into it. And if you've seen the show, it's easily for me 4.5 star. Loved it. I loved the way it all wrapped up. But that's just because it was a great exclamation point on a phenomenal show. So I do recommend it if you've seen the series.
So I was gonna say it's interesting to put a major spoiler in the title of the movie.
I mean, they must die, so that means they do die, right? That's what that means.
I will say that they
spoiler alert.
It's a little on the nose. That's a part of a prophecy that is said out loud probably like 13 times in the movie. Okay. It's one of those things where they're like, well, the prophecy said 7 kings must die. I was like, we get it, guys. We get that.
We kind of like the Halloween. Was it Halloween Kills or whichever one? Halloween Ends or Halloween Kills? Of one of the recent Halloween sequels where everybody said evil dies tonight like 16 gazillion times in the movie, and then that ended up being obviously the tagline and the poster or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I know, I get it. You guys. I mean,
it's kind of like every leader before a Lord of the Rings battle will stare at the battlefield and say, and so it begins. Like everyone, they just all say it.
It's like, yeah, no, we know.
Yeah. Like, no, actually, it began a while ago. There's a lot of dead bodies out there. It began a while.
So many.
My favorite. Speaking of,
I think John Wick has them all beat with just saying like 100 times.
My favorite, spoof or whatever you want to call it, manipulation of footage is Aragorn running into the battle in Return of the King and going for Frodo, and it's just him running alone, and everybody's just kind of looking around.
Oh man, all by himself.
You hear one soldier go, "Who?"
And he's like, "Guys," he's like really far away. He's like, "Guys,
who dat?"
He's like, "Wait a minute, come on!"
It's like that Monty Python bit where, but in reverse, the Holy Grail, where like somebody's running for like what seems like 5 minutes in the same location, and then he comes up out of nowhere and like, God, that movie's so hilarious. But it's like the reverse of that, where he's just running, just continuously running away, and you're like, is anybody going to join him? Anyway.
Oh man.
So yeah, I do recommend that, and I will yet again, and I know it's annoying, but whatever. I will highly recommend that show, especially if you like medieval sword and board kind of stories, a lot of political and sometimes like religious power intrigue with like conniving and backstabbing and all that, and then just awesome Viking elements as well, like the Danes versus Saxons. If that's the kind of time period and elements that interest you, it's very well written, wonderfully acted, and I think it's great. Will it be everyone's favorite?
Well,
Probably not,
but
it really clicked for me.
Agree, but also disagree at the same time. Like, I've watched all the seasons. I like the show. I wouldn't say it's well written or well acted. I think there's a lot of cheese and a lot of bad acting. Especially that maybe it was the last season. I felt like it was like, really? You're gonna say that? But overall, I do agree with you. Like, it's fun. If you just go, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you lower your expectations a little bit, this is a swimming in sevens or a B movie, B series type show. Like, I don't feel like it's like a full-fledged, like they're clearly trying to make it look AAA, but when you go watch some of the effects and the scenes and stuff, I'll be like, yep, you guys didn't have the budget for that. Good try. But overall, I do like it. I do want to watch the movie. I was excited to see it was announced. I was like, oh, I didn't know this was coming out today. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I still have it on my watch list, and I take it I take your recommendation seriously. I do plan on watching it at some point.
Kind of like Kyle takes Bayonetta seriously. Bayonetta 3. He just keeps moving it so he sees it, and he's like, not going to play you, but I'm just going to keep pulling you over.
Wow.
I'm going to keep looking at you.
Call out.
All right, and then also another movie that came, again, kind of a slower week for major movie releases too, kind of in between a whole bunch of big movies that have come out last few weeks and then on the way in the next few weeks. But the biggest one that I saw, and it sounds like, Jeff, you're the only one who saw it, was Renfield, that Nicolas Cage wacky movie. What do you think about this one?
Apparently vampires and Vikings are what it's all about this week. But I mean, I guess this is Dracula, so it's different. But yeah, this is the Nick Cage's Dracula movie. And if you're thinking Oh man, I bet he's like gives a really nutty Nick Cage-ish performance. Yeah, absolutely he does.
Yeah.
There are times where he doesn't have to do this at all, but like he'll be saying a line and he'll just woo in the middle of it. And you're like, that came out of nowhere. Where he's like, Dracula, yeah, woo, yeah, I'm like, whoa.
God damn it.
Ric Flair.
They just let him go, dude, and it worked in the movie's favor because this movie is first and foremost a comedy. Like it is so funny. And when it gets violent, the violence is funny too. Like it's comically violent. Like I'll try not to spoil like the best parts of it, but there's definitely heads getting punched off or limbs getting chopped off in very comical ways that you're like, okay, come on. Like that's clearly, it's not trying to be shocking. It's trying to be stupid and funny and cartoonish. And it succeeds on all of that. Like it's so fun. I was either smiling or laughing the whole time. The only thing is like the story, man, it just plows through it because the movie doesn't care. Does not care at all about the story, barely cares about the characters. So, I mean, it's not that kind of movie, but as a straight up pure comedy, I thought it was good.
And Nicholas Hoult is in it. He's good.
He's fantastic, man, and he's really good at like I don't know deadpan and stuff because he plays Dracula's assistant. The title of the movie, Renfield.
Renfield, yeah.
Assistant. What do you call him? Familiar, I guess, in vampire lore.
Assistant to the familiar.
He still has one of the most empathetic performances as a zombie. So I'm excited to see him in this one
it's
too.
true.
And he did it again as like he has like a quarter or a fraction of Dracula's powers if he eats bugs. That's his whole thing. Yeah. You have to eat a living thing.
They do that here too with the bugs.
Yeah. So if he eats bugs, since they're living technically.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dracula and loving it. My wife and her family.
They're loving it. You mean Leslie Nielsen, that movie?
Yeah. They love that movie. They love that movie. Wow. So and it is really funny. It is a really.
I've been meaning to watch it. Leslie Nielsen is just like a comedy god. So
yeah.
I have
you've never seen that one?
No.
Oh yeah, you should watch it.
I have a lot of gaps in my Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah. That one's really fun. That one's a really fun movie.
Oh, that'd be an interesting topic too. Maybe you guys have already covered it in current cinema, although I don't think so. Your backlog Hall of Shame and like
that's a really really good one to do for like a really
essentially
dead
assign each other like all right, you have to watch like here's 5 on my backlist. You pick one that I have to watch this week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that on like a dead week, which is not coming up anytime soon because once next week is brutal and then it's brutal every week until August.
Jeez.
So it's basically like gaming in the summertime this year. But this movie's really entertaining. I highly recommend it whenever it hits. I mean, yeah, sure. If you want to go to the theater, if you have the pass that Derek has, just go see it. It's you got a pass. Go see it.
I might actually see it because I was considering it, but after I watched Jeremy John's review, I was like, no, I don't really want to see this. But since you're saying just focus on it as a comedy and not. Like care about the story.
How wide did Nick Cage's eyes get? How did they get pretty big?
Almost every shot was like. Actually, believe it or not, Awkwafina was the one that had her eyes like this the whole movie.
Yeah.
She
normally is like
crap in the movie. She was just so tired of it.
Yeah, she does actually. Yeah, the most of her performances, she does kind of have a surprise face a lot.
Is she funny at all? Because I find her to be pretty funny.
Yeah, okay. I find her to be. Me too. Like, and there's a lot of people that like she's like her flavor of comedy is not everybody's cup of tea, I guess. But I think she's really funny. Or she can be. She can be really funny. Yeah. And then this movie is an example of like, a director. I feel like the director was just letting people improv because Ben Schwartz is in this too, and he's an improv master. He plays one of the bad guys. And he's clearly just allowed to say stuff off the cuff, off script, and just it makes it in the movie. And I feel like they did the same with Awkwafina. Like I think she's really good when she's allowed to just kind of be more of herself.
Jean-Ralphio, yeah.
Jean-Ralphio, yeah. Ben Schwartz is great.
And Sonic the Hedgehog.
And so yes,
of course.
No, I think Awkwafina's best role still, at least funniest for me, was Crazy Rich Asians. I forget her character's name, but she was so funny in that.
Where she plays the friend or whatever.
Yeah, she's the friend. Now that's a pretty
I barely remember that movie. Honestly.
It's a pretty by the numbers rom-com, but her character
because you hate Asians, but that's another point.
No, I mean there was a movie that she did that came out like after that movie. It was called The Farewell, and that movie's really good, and she's really good in it. It's not so much a comedy.
Okay.
But that movie's just separately just really freaking good. Like it's just an indie movie about Chinese people. It's great. But anyway, Renfield will be coming to Peacock. It's a Universal movie, so just wait a couple months if you don't want to go to the theater.
Yeah. All right.
I will do that.
Cool. All right, well, let's try going through some of our quick hits because this is something we talked about trying this week. So we're going to kick things off actually with Jeff. That way,
Sure.
Derek and Dan, if you haven't, maybe just if you got a short list of, hey, here's stuff I'm playing and watching, and just take a few minutes to go through those things. Unless everyone else jumps in and wants to talk about a thing you're playing, then we can all chime in on it. Totally cool. But Jeff, we'll start with you. What are some things, they don't have to be new, that you're playing and watching this week?
No, naturally. There's one game I'll talk about probably the most out of all of these, but even then, it's still going to be a short chat. Anyway, the ones I'll breeze through. Succession just had one of the best episodes of television, like, period. It was just so good.
HBO, right?
Yes, and it's in the final season now, so that can kind of tell you where things are, like characters. Things are happening that are a big deal. It feels like we are near the end of the show.
The wheels are in motion.
And the thing, it was just the way that they did what they did was just like so not choreographed. Like it came out of nowhere, and it felt so natural that way. Like you'll see if you decide to watch the show, and if you do decide to watch, heads up, there's no likable characters in the show. You just have to be okay with that.
So my wife would hate the show.
And just embrace the comedy for what it is. You're watching horrible people do horrible stuff, and they're rich.
I was gonna watch it even before you started talking about it. Every
Succession's a comedy?
Every preview
it's like a dark comedy, like an R-rated dark comedy. Yeah.
Every preview I ever saw, and I like the guy who plays villains in a lot. He's the dad or whatever. He's the
Brian
one.
Cox.
Brian Cox.
Yeah, I like
nobody
him.
says F off better than he does. The emphasis on the F's are just so perfect the way he says it.
Yeah, he's good.
Trump.
Oh, that's not, I mean, we haven't really heard that much in public speaking, but
Trump's like
frankly,
nobody does
I dropped the best F-bombs.
I dropped the best F-bombs.
All the F-bombs.
Yes, I mean, so basically all the awards and all the acclaim, I feel like it's true. Succession is well worth checking out. The other show I wanted to mention is, these are the only things I'm watching that I wanted to mention, is a new show on Amazon. It's still airing, though. It's like week to week. It's called Jury Duty, and it's actually like, the premise is everybody but one guy are actors. And they are really putting on they're really trying to put on like a real fake documentary case in front of a jury. And they even got James Marsden in this, and he's playing himself. And it's really funny because
he plays James Marsden.
He plays James Marsden,
the celebrity James Marsden.
Yes, and there's this funny part where they're doing like the whatever you do when you jury selection process. And they're in the waiting room, and he's talking to the guy that is not in on it. Like he's the guy the only real person in the show. And he's like, I'm James Marsden. Like I was in like the Notebook and stuff. And he's like, you were the guy in the Notebook? Yeah, not the guy, but like the other guy. And he was like, oh, okay. Or you were in Sonic too? Like he was like, yeah, I was in Sonic. And he was like, yeah, but I heard that movie's not very good. Like it was just
oh my god,
it's not very good.
Hey, I like those movies.
You couldn't train this guy to be this dense. Like he's just a very happy-go-lucky, like just the innocent guy. That's where a lot of the humor is like people are doing some of the most ridiculous stuff because it is about the jurors as much as about the case. It's entertaining, man. There's some really funny stuff in there where like there's one part where this guy was trying to get out of jury duty, and he was like, what do I do? How do I get out of this? And he's talking obviously to the straight man and the guy who's like not in on the joke. And the guy was like, I don't know, I heard this story about a guy, who got out of jury duty because he was obviously very racist. Like, so there came a part later in the episode where the judge is asking him questions like, are there any other reasons that you can't be on the jury? And he's like, it's like a long pause, and he's like, I'm a racist?
just says I'm a racist.
Which is something that most racists will say.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
sure. Just like, so if I had you take an oath, go under oath.
The easiest one is just to say that you're the main provider for your house and you can't take off work and they'll let you off.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, the reason my wife actually
for me since I live alone. So
my wife was let off of jury duty because it was gonna be. She was actually pretty close to being on the jury, but once they revealed what the case was about, and then they started going through more detailed questions about would you be biased about this case? Here's some of the details, and it was some kind of lawsuit against the brain surgeon who had done some kind of like tumor removal, and there was a bunch whatever. It sounded like a big case. And I was like, I want to hear more about what happened. What was with this case? But my wife actually had brain surgery when she was 14 to remove a tumor.
Oh.
So she was.
No.
So she was there. Anyone have a history with brain surgery? And of course, everyone's kind of like, brain surgery. No, and my wife's like, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I've
man,
literally
what are the
had
odds?
it out. Yeah.
Wow.
What a great out. And then she's good for like 3 or however many years.
She's all
it is.
set, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's a funny show, I think, but apparently it's not reviewing well, but whatever, screw the reviewers. The games that I'm playing, I'm still plowing through Mafia 3. I'm in a really good rhythm with that game in terms of like discovering the open world and collecting all the parts so I can unlock more, what do you call those, junction boxes or whatever? So I can wiretap.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wiretap that kind of opens the world more and allows you to hire enemies instead of like blackmail them basically to work for you instead of killing them.
Okay.
So I'm doing that basically. I'm doing all like side stuff at this point. I killed the first guy that you're supposed to kill, and he's in like this kind of flooded amusement park, and
I remember that.
Such a great mission, man. And it just I was like, wow, this game is like.
And it looked good.
Like that
was
it looked really good, and it kept going. I was like, how deep does this go? I really thought it was just going to be.
I'm telling
the
you,
entrance, and that's
you're
it.
playing that year's Gotham Knights.
It
was a
good.
better.
Isn't it?
It was way better than what it got.
Yeah, isn't it wacky that the
reviewed
reviews are in the 60s on average for
That's
that?
insanity to me.
I
wonder
think
why.
if I remember correctly, there was 2 reasons. One, I think there was something broken about it. Like there was a lot of like bugs in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
I heard
2,
that too.
a lot of people had a problem with like it just didn't feel like it was a Mafia game. So I think
so that I understand, especially because they added so much open world side stuff you could do, which you could not do in the other 2 games. Like at most in Mafia 2, you could sell your cars or whatever. Like that's about it.
You see, that's dumb though, because if it's not something that's bad, like it's not like making the game bad, or it's not something broken, like you're saying with bugs, like how do you hold that against the game? Like you're adding things to improve it, and they're fun, so that shouldn't be a detriment.
it's fun.
Well, we had fun with it. I mean, the people that played it, and Jeff's playing it, and he's having fun with it. But I just remember, because I really like this game, so I remember being like, I don't understand these reviewers. And a lot of it was like it's all repetitive, and
it is.
So if somebody plays like an open world game and they think something's repetitive, there's nothing you can really do about it, especially since I can say that Mafia 3 has a lot of repetitive stuff. They use the same thing over and over. It's a Ubisoft game. Yeah, it's an open world Ubisoft game where it's like, do the same thing over and over.
It depends on your tolerance for those repetitive things. Like same thing with Hogwarts Legacy. Like if you hate the idea of going to do Merlin trials or whatever, you're gonna be like, oh, this game's a 7 or a 6. Like you're gonna.
Well, if you love Harry Potter and the whole Wizarding World thing, you won't feel like it's repetitive because you're just having a blast being in it. Same with Mafia 3. If you love that setting and the time, like what is it, like 60s New Orleans?
60s, yeah.
And it's just so cool.
That soundtrack is amazing.
It's awesome, but not everyone loves that. So like, I do think the setting plays a big role too. But
yeah. Anyway, another game I fired up was Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm not very far in it.
So good.
You're good.
But
it's my favorite one.
I'm not very far in it at all, but I have already noticed my stealth gaming abilities improve since the last time I played one of these games.
Okay.
Because in the very first mission, you have to stealth kill a bunch of guys. And
talk about a great setting, man.
I went through that so quick.
It's my favorite one. It's the most unique, I think.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm in for a good ride then. Whenever I feel
it's my favorite one.
Did you play the other ones though?
Only for a little bit.
Did you play like okay? Then
I played Valhalla probably the most out of all of them.
I think if people go backwards, they might have a problem with it because they did improve like
the features got better.
Stuff. Yeah,
sure.
With Odyssey and Valhalla, but I liked Origins like a lot. It's really good.
Oh man, that Egyptian setting and like
it's
the
a great
hippos and crocodiles and
they just introduced a ton of new stuff for us.
In the first 10 minutes, you get to summon your mount, which is a camel, and you get to ride, and that's just like that's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you're playing on, what are you playing it on? PC
Series
or?
S, it's on Game Pass.
Okay, so I don't know if you can still do it, but I know Xbox was giving the DLC away for free, and one of the DLCs is like a snake outfit, and it's super freaking cool and comes with like a poison weapon. Like if you can get it for free, get it.
Get one of those.
It's really good.
Ubisoft Plus,
they still have the store stuff up. Like clearly
and
this game is
Xbox
still
was giving it away for free like 2 months ago. I already owned it, but like it was free, and if it's still free, get it.
I think Ubisoft Plus has been added to the Xbox Game Pass.
It has.
So that should mean.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was very recently though. I think
just
EA has been there. Yeah. You're right. The last game I wanted to mention was I do have more to say about this one, but I'll keep it brief because it's truly what the old games were. It's called Clone Hero.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about this until somebody brought up in the current gen group, like, hey man, I want to get back into Rock Band.
I'm surprised I had never mentioned
What
it
do
to
I
you.
do? And somebody said, "Oh man, I'm not really playing anymore, but I know about Clone Hero." And I was like, "What the hell's Clone Hero?" So apparently, it's literally just a format. What do you call it? A platform.
A platform.
So it's basically a platform / emulator of Rock Band, where when you install it, it's like 10 or 12 songs by nobodies. Like none of those, you don't know any of those songs. But the point is that there's a community that has already recreated every single Rock Band and Guitar Hero song, DLC, everything, and you just go download those files and put them in a certain drive, and then you go into the game and scan for that folder, and it just imports all those songs.
That's crazy.
And Jeff modding his games.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. It's a mod.
PC Master Race.
Yeah, you sound like a PC gamer right now.
I cannot believe how much freedom there is in this game, and not just that. You can customize your, they call it a highway where your notes come across. You can change that. You can change the note heads on it. You can change the video that you are watching as you're playing. Like you can just customize literally anything with this game. It's pretty incredible. And it's just, if you would have told me, like, I don't know, however long ago I was playing Rock Band, like 8 years ago, that, hey, you can just wait a few years and you'll be able to get all the DLC for free. Like, I wouldn't have spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on freaking DLC.
I'm surprised they haven't got like a cease and desist or something. Like,
I know, but now that it's like already installed on my computer and I'm gonna back it up on a separate hard drive, well, they can't take it away.
So does it do like the full like crowd responding to you playing and all that stuff?
Not really. Not unless it is a true export from one of the games. Like,
okay.
So the audio in those games does include crowd noise if you trigger enough if you hit enough perfect.
I always
notes.
Liked that. I liked when you build up those combos and the crowd starts going crazy. I always liked that.
I noticed it with some of the older, like, I played only a couple older ones. Mostly I was playing new songs I never played before, but the older ones where usually the crowd noise comes in the chorus and stuff on famous, like, trying to think of an old 80s song or something like Journey, Don't Stop Believing, the crowd will sing with you. They kept all that stuff in there because they exported the audio from the game, and that's in the game. So like wizards, nerds and stuff figured out how to emulate the Rock Band experience for that. Wizards. The only difference is the videos you have to control yourself. Otherwise you're just looking at a black screen and notes.
Yeah.
You don't, it's kind of boring. So basically go out there, look for some videos, and there's a whole community out there. I joined at just the right time because this community is very alive and very much creating stuff every day. And so I was able to find videos. I don't have to create anything myself. Basically.
Yeah, I must have jumped in like right before like it went like full version or something.
Yeah, full version was like November, December. Yeah.
I wish I had told you guys. Yeah, I don't remember when but I did stumble across. I don't even know how. I don't know if I was just like Googling like Rock Band, like, clones or something like that. And I just like, I was a Clone Hero. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
But I plugged it in and I was messing around with it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. But I was trying to find songs that like never existed in any of the Rock Band or Guitar Hero games. Yeah. Like just songs that I'm really into.
Right. And actually in a lot of those cases, if you're looking for custom songs that were never in any of the games before, you're going to find something that somebody created online. Yes. But they normally only create one track where it's like either it's guitar or it's vocals or it's drums.
And it's on expert.
Usually it's not all. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the issue I came across. I was finding all on expert and I was like trying to play, but I was like, I can't play this on expert.
Like I'm a huge John Mayer fan, hence the Martin guitar right there. And he's never been in Rock Band games, but the creators in the Clone Wars. Star Wars on the brains. Kyle's gonna be so proud of me for that slip up. Clone Hero creators have been making like madmen, because he's a great guitarist. And so, like, the only tracks that they included, though, were expert guitar, and so many of them are just like, literally cannot play this.
Yeah, I can't play. Yeah, I can't play it. And I was just like, oh, all right, yeah, I can't do this.
It's like Elden Ring the song. It's stupid.
Yeah, basically.
Elden Ring the song.
But I've been loving this trip down memory lane, dude. And I got my drums to work too. I got a Bluetooth adapter that works with my 360 drum set.
Nice.
And so I'm able to do guitar and drums. I don't think the game has vocals, or I just haven't explored it. So
I think it's just drums and guitar.
yeah, I think it's just drums, guitar, and bass, and pro drums too. They acknowledge the cymbals if you have the cymbal set up.
Dang, that is so cool. What a blast from the past.
Man, and it's free. I mean, you just gotta it was a week-long project for me to get up to 1,600 songs. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing for most people who didn't hang on to them is finding the instruments to play.
Yeah.
Yes, I was very lucky that I didn't throw those out. And
they're expensive.
I gave my brother the Xbox One controllers that I had, and he's having a hard time with those because only 360 have the wireless adapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I talk about a couple of things that I'm playing and watching, I'll throw it to Dan and Derek. But I just saw this game on Steam that came out yesterday called Meat Grinder, and I just had to highlight it's a $9 game. It looks really polygonal and simple, like it's kind of ugly, but the gameplay looks hilarious. Like you are literally jumping from speeding truck to the back of a train. You're up in the sky, jumping from plane wing to plane wing, and you're just demolishing dudes with these guns. And you also
looks so dumb. I love
these spiked boots that operate, and one of them operates as a grapple hook that you can like get from truck to truck with. So you kind of like stick your boot out and it grapples onto the truck. But it looks ridiculous, and it's like
it looks like an arcade shooter.
Very arcade, like an early 2000s arcade game.
Exactly, like bowling alley.
It's like they're trying to do Mad Max, right? Is that what's going on here? It's kind of like Mad Max
thing.
Yeah,
kind of Mad Max, but kind of the society still together a little bit.
I like that he kicks to get more momentum in midair.
Well, look at the spikes in the bottom of his shoe. That's pretty rough. So anyway, it looks silly. I'm
glad you were looking up on Steam because I got to add that to my wish list.
That one looks fun. So I've been playing and watching a couple things. Still playing through Metroid Prime Remastered. That game is fantastic, a lot of fun. Nothing really new to say about it other than just it's a lot of fun, a lot of exploring. I totally understand people can empathize with someone saying the Metroid games just never really clicked with me. It's a lot of backtracking. It really is. And so if you get frustrated by that, or and just like Metroid Dread did the same thing, it doesn't always hold your hand with like a big obvious waypoint. Here's where to go next.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even like, sometimes it's something really small, like, oh, down in the corner you were supposed to blow up this little tiny hole in the wall, and that's how to advance the entire game. Like, so I get it, I understand, but I kind of love that. Like, to me that makes it challenging in a different way than just having to be really good at combat. It's challenging on the exploration side. So I get it. Just like with I understand people not loving some FromSoft games because of the challenge there. This is a different kind of challenge. This is like environmental puzzle solving challenge, sort of.
It's kind of like Kyle talked about with Doom last week, where he's like, there's so much momentum. I mean, granted, those games are way more fast paced, but there's so much momentum, and then you have to halt to go find a key. And you're kind of like, well, what the hell? Like, it's not.
There's a lot of that here, but I'll tell you, when you find the right room and you unlock a new area, like, oh, look, if you look at the map, and it really makes you have to examine the map closely, and you'll notice like, oh, there's a little door in this area that I didn't open yet, and you go there, you find your way up there, you open that door, and all of a sudden there's a new section of map that pops open. So I like that. I think that sense of discovery is awesome, and I've upgraded a bunch of things. Just got the spider ball and collecting relics. It's just a good time. I'm loving it. And I'm not going to game off the backlog while we wait for some of these bigger releases. I'm playing through Quantum Break, which is
God damn it. God damn.
Yeah, this game is super fun. It's I talked about it a little bit last week, but I think I'm at the halfway point according to like the acts that are in the game. And I think the episodes are fun, like sci-fi, it's like a sci-fi show. Maybe like a better quality sci-fi show. It's not a bad one.
Yeah.
But it certainly has those moments where it's like, well, that's a studio set, right? There's definitely like that feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good. It's very earnest. Like they're very sincere. And some of the performances, like Lance Reddick makes everyone in every scene better around him. The way he kind of like he'll say something with his super amazing voice, and then just kind of look at them, and like he makes their reactions seem better, even if they're not doing a good job. I don't know. He's awesome.
He commanded the screen.
According to the show Barry, that's how you act right there. You make everybody else better by the way you say things.
Good job, Barry.
I learned a lot from Barry.
I learned a lot about acting. I watched. This is so random, but sometimes that's how TikTok feeds work. where I'm scrolling through and then I see a clip of Michael Caine talking about acting in front of a camera.
Oh.
And it's been on my mind ever since, and I watched it 4 days ago.
Michael
But now I'm watching TV shows differently because he explained how to act in front of a camera, where like the camera's over here, and if there's an actor right here to the right of the camera, then you're gonna pick the eye that's closest. Pick the eye of the actor that's closest to the camera and focus on that eye, and don't blink at much. Not stare, but like don't blink that much.
Like Nick Cage.
And the viewer will have no choice but to like listen. And now I'm watching like other shows, and I'm paying attention to actors that are like doing that. Like every actor does it. This is like a thing every actor does. It's just kind of mind blowing. Anyway, Barry's great though. It's
yes, it is.
It's a special show.
So, but I do understand in playing the game and seeing some of it's a little janky. Like the gameplay itself, the jumping and the shooting, like it's not super refined, but it's not bad. Like I understand why this game kind of falls in that 8 out of 10 range for most people. I know some people love it. They're like 10 out of 10. Okay, that's fair. And some people were like hating on it, 5 or 6 out of 10. I think that's overly harsh, but I think 8 is probably about right for this one. It's very, very good. It's a good time. So it's a fun, kind of like when I played Sleeping Dogs. I was like, this is such a fun game. Is it perfect? No, and it hasn't aged perfectly. But the definitive edition of it is a blast, and it's a good time. And so I think.
Where is my next Sleeping Dogs?
Yeah,
it's sleeping.
Good question.
I guess that's it. They're so
by the way,
far asleep, they're in a coma.
Speaking of Quantum Break, the Remedy just announced and showed off their new logo, which is kind of cool looking, actually.
Oh.
I like it. It's got like this.
I saw that. It's
like a shattered R, sort of like the shattered reality.
I wonder what that's in anticipation.
There's definitely like an Alan Wake type of imagery behind their reveal of it.
I guess that would be their next thing.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
And then I watched several projects, I think, going on.
Yeah, they did announce Control 2 formally. But I think Alan Wake showed more. Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, Alan Wake's next. It's coming next.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
And then I now that I've watched through all the Rockies, including technically Rocky 6, Rocky Balboa, I finally have gotten into the Creed series of movies. And the first Creed, I would say it's as good, if not better, than the best Rocky movie.
Yes.
It's so good. It's so good. Like I was actually like I was so connected with the characters and the things that happen, and they just kind of remembered what made Rocky, the original one, so good is not necessarily just the fights, although the fights do help. Like you want the underdog to win, but it's these human stories, and it's very basic stuff. Like there's not a whole lot of glitz and glamour, and I loved it. I thought it was so good. And then the way the fight scenes are shot, there's 2 major fight scenes, and it's unreal. Like the power and the also the editing for those is just
There's one in like the beginning of the movie in like Mexico or something, or Tijuana, that is like uncut. Like it goes from locker room to the ring, and then like the first round is all.
If there's no
cuts.
If there's a cut, I couldn't find where it was. It's
exactly. If there's it's really cleverly done. If there is one,
yes.
Yeah, and then of course the final one with Pretty Ricky.
The second fight has a whole bunch of long sequences as well, as he kind of like makes a name for himself in that second fight. The final fight, tons of cuts, but it's still edited in some really cool ways. There's even a part where they kill the lights, like not really in the movie, but just for the editing for the viewer. Like, and it comes down to essentially just a spotlight on the 2 fighters, and all the sound kind of gets muffled, and it's just the 2 of them.
Yeah. By the way, how good is that score? That's I think that was Ludwig, who did the Black Panther and the Mandalorian theme and stuff like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
He's getting around, dude. But yeah, you can hear the horns. Like it's like he's got a very pronounced way of doing horns. And that theme gets in my head sometimes. I'll just be like walking around, and I'll be like da da da.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, that's almost as good as Rocky. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was very, very good. And Ryan Coogler is just a great director, and so
definitely.
I think he was a producer on the next 2, even though he didn't direct the next 2. But
he was. I think he did a story contribution to 3 as well.
Nice. So really enjoyed that. Those are my kind of quick things. Dan, what do you got? Anything watching, playing?
Really just and then what I was mentioning before we started is I am done with 7 of the stories of Octopath Traveler 2. Wow. I'm on the final chapter for Oswald, so then I will be done with all of them. Holy shit, dude! Some of these stories. Derek, I know you said you really like the Throne one, right?
That's the one
Like-
that you beat the
like-
game if you finish that one.
Yeah, no, it's not. But you kind of feel like you don't want to even go any further because like the things that happen in the last 2 chapters, holy shit! Like it is
That's
really
awesome.
effed. It's
Good.
really effed.
It's
It's
good.
really effed. And then like kind of as you're building up to, because like
Pretty dark.
Oswald's story out the gate is like his whole thing is like his wife, and it tells you in the beginning, so it's not a huge
he's got a
spoiler.
gladiator story of sorts.
Yeah, his wife and daughter were murdered, and this guy framed them essentially. So then he goes off to some prison on some frozen island. So he's like, yeah, I'm getting revenge. Like F that guy. I'm gonna go wreck his shit. And as you get towards the end of that, and like the revelations start happening, you're like, oh my god, this is so disturbing. This is so disturbing. Yeah, there's just some really, really good standout ones. I mean, like I've overall enjoyed all of the stories. I haven't been disappointed with any of them. Even Agnea's, she's the dancer. I thought there was like things to kind of pick out there. I was like, oh, this is nice. It's endearing. It's an endearing story. But like the ones that like are twisted, like Throne's or Oswald's, I'm like, this is some dark stuff.
What about the combined
what-
stories, the combined chapters?
What
Did you like
level? Answer Tim first. I
Oh,
was
okay.
just gonna ask you
I've done
what your
some of
level
them,
was.
but I have 3 of them right now that I need to get to. But I'll probably finish Oswald's
Are
tonight.
those stories
and then, like,
pretty strong, like the combined ones? Or is
they're
that...
okay.
I don't
They're
think
okay.
so. I don't.
No,
think so.
they're just kind
I
of
thought
like
they
the
were
2
very-
characters like hanging out.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
and kind of doing like a thing like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a beast over there that's like causing a ruckus. Let's go figure that
Yeah,
out.
I
Like,
did a couple myself. They were just mainly there for the characters to talk, but
Got it.
outside of
Yeah.
that,
yeah.
Nothing
And again,
focused
it's like a half measure, and that's the thing that's like still kind of like bothering me a little bit with this. It's like they're kind of going there, but it's like, but they're not quite going there. It's like the conversations when you hit the whatever it is options button where they do the banter, and it
Yeah.
just kind of shows the
Mhm.
2 character models, and like it's not voice acted or anything. They're just talking back and forth. It's like, and some of those are actually nice, genuine conversations, but they're not being voice acted, even though the entire game is basically voice acted. So it's like, all right, I mean, now I'm not getting any of like sort of the kind of those emotions out of this
Yeah.
conversation. So
I still want them to create. Maybe they'll do it in the 3rd one. 8 separate stories, because I agree with Tim. It's Octopath. It's 8
Yeah.
different characters.
yeah.
8 different paths. But I still think you should have all 8 paths come together like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
freaking
yeah.
Avengers Endgame. We've got one common enemy. Let's go take them out.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
think
yeah.
they should do.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
And this game's kind of like, because there's this through line of there's like this sort of, it has to do with like magic. There's like this thing that has to do with magic, and I won't be too specific, and that's kind of a through line with a lot of the characters. It's brought up with several of them, and that's
is
sort
it
of the
kind of
overarching
like
thing.
related to Ochet and like the priest or whatever?
Yeah, the priest is pretty involved with that. Oswald is too, because the person that framed him, his sort of like mentor, or like the guy that he like started kind of being
His
like
partner. Yeah.
yeah, like his partner, and they were like both like into magic, and then he's like, oh, we're on the same level
Oh yeah,
of like
he was like
of
doing
like
the
intelligence,
Voldemort
like
thing. He was like
yeah,
dark
yeah, yeah,
magic
yeah.
stuff,
Yeah. So like they're trying to like search for this like 7th thing, and it's like, so there's a little bit in Oswald's, but that's like the through line with a lot of them. So but again,
The first
it's not
game does
quite
that
all
too, where
blown.
there's some overlap. There's a main boss that you fight at the end of one character's, who actually turns out he was a character in a different person's storyline who was trying to save someone he loved, and he ended up
Okay.
getting cursed and turned into that monster. So there's some connections that are actually
Yeah.
interesting. But I don't disagree with you that they could really tie things together. They could
Mhm.
even have a villain be the one who's pulling the strings to pull those 8 together in the first place for some
Right,
mysterious
right.
purpose, and they have to work like
Yeah.
there's lots of things they could do to kind of work still within this 8 separate travelers, separate stories.
It'd be really
Yeah.
cool if they had like one story where it's like you're in search for like your missing brother, and then this other story you're it's like a revenge story. You're after this terrible human being. You find out at the end the terrible human being is the brother of one of the other characters. Like something cool like
Yeah,
that. They
yeah.
could totally twist and F with everybody's
Yeah.
stories if they wanted to do that.
there's some cool
Yeah.
stuff they could do.
And again, that's kind of the weird thing in this, because it's like there are those sort of half measures, those half steps of like there being like kind of like a through line or like an overlap, but like characters not really talking to each other. Or like, you know, the main character that like you sort of choose in the beginning, and then like when you find one of the other characters, they're just like silent for some reason, and the other character's talking, like just little random weird things like that. That it's like, why did you choose to do that? Because that it feels disconnected, but then it's not, because then that party is also in this, like if you're doing Ochet's chapter 4, it's like, well, I got the whole party helping Ochet technically, right? But in the cutscene, it's just Ochet like dealing with whatever, you know, the thing is, whatever the monster, the big bad is. Like it's just very strange, you know, that they're all there, but story wise, it's just Ochet just being like, I'm taking care of everything. It's like, well, you're not, because that you got 7 other buddies over here back here, like, you know. So it's very odd, but I don't know. I'm
kind
really
of the old school video game walls too, a little bit, where it's like even in Final Fantasy VI, I was like, how come I've got like 16 people,
right,
but I can only bring 4?
Sure.
Like, why don't all 16 just go together and fight together?
Right.
How much easier that? Like, there's just the video game walls that are up.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I still wish they would do that. I really wish they would create a game. If you're gonna have a party of 6, party of 8, that's why Kyle and I liked Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because you literally do that. Everybody in the party is always with you, always in every interaction, in every battle. I just wish more JRPGs, especially modern day, would do that. Like if you got a party of 8, all 8 fight. You want to manage all 8 of them? You can manage all 8 of them. You want the AI to do it? Let the AI do it. But don't have them disappear. That's
if you're gonna have just 4, call it Quattro-Path Traveler.
Sure. Quattro-Path,
yeah. Quattro.
But yeah, I'm obviously enjoying this one much more. I'm basically towards the end here versus the first one, so
that's great.
I really
like
the characters.
What level were you?
Around 60. Right now I'm around like average between 60 to 63. So
wow.
I've basically finished every story. I have not gotten a game over on any of the chapters except for one of them, which was the second chapter for Hikari in that battle arena. I just wasn't prepared for that one, so I just like leveled up like a little bit. But yeah, I've basically, aside from like some optional bosses that I found, I've just kind of plowed through everything. I've just managed to get a good groove going, and I found the secret classes, and just like, you know, I also like to like go in every little nook and cranny. I'm like, oh, I found this weapon here. What is this weapon? Like, I'm really like anal about that. Like, I'm gonna check every nook and cranny and find all of the stuff. So.
Talking about
nooks and crannies, I think what I'm gonna do,
all the same sentences.
Absolutely.
I think I have 5 characters, all in like their upper 40s and low 50s, and so I have 3 lower characters. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm not playing it anymore now. I've moved on, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'll get an itching for it. I'll just level them all up, and then I'll try to start knocking out these end bosses, because I think part of my problem was not just being underleveled. It was, there are certain characters you need in certain bosses because of the weaknesses. Yeah. And those characters so happen to be the ones that I found to be boring, that were lower level. And I'm finding that actually, if you utilize them correctly, they're actually very powerful.
Well, and
they have a lot of
leveling
skills.
them up will get you back into the groove of the game too when you go back to it, which is nice. You'll get back into the groove of fighting and all that.
And I think for me, I just got burnt out because I did play it a lot, and I got really far, and then I was like, well, I just want to beat the game. So my mindset was like, I'm going to beat the game, and then I hit those walls, and I was like, I need to grind? No, I'm not grinding.
Oh, so you admitted you didn't beat the game. That's good. That's progress.
No, I beat the game. I beat the game.
Yeah, my in-game clock says 100 hours. I've played 100 hours of this game, so
yeah, I'm not even close to that. So it makes sense that you were able to obliterate them.
It's funny that they've made the second game almost the same length as the first, and really, because I'm at the 70-something mark. No, I'm at the 80-something. I think I'm right around 80 in the first game, and I've got 3 chapters left, like 3 bosses, like final chapters left. So yeah, these games are beefy, dude. But so with playing that, do you have any room for any other games? Are you playing, or is that pretty much the main thing?
Yeah, that's just what I've been mainly focusing on. I'm gonna finish 7 on stream tomorrow hopefully, and then I'm gonna start Xenogears for the first time. I'm thinking, so I was gonna do Chained Echoes next, but I'm actually considering, so I'll hop back into Breath of the Wild, because I want to finish Breath of the Wild. Like I want to actually finish.
You haven't beat it? You haven't beat it?
No.
Yeah, then
I
beat
clocked
it.
in like 70
Jump into
hours
that
into
for-
that game. Like,
Yeah, beat that
Um,
game. It's worth
it
beating
looks-
before the new one comes out.
Yeah, the new one's very connected to it. So
yeah, well, yeah, definitely. So I wanna actually like finish that before I even get to
Plus,
Tears of
the final boss battle is pretty awesome.
It's
in
amazing.
Zelda.
Also, it changes depending on how many of the big monsters or the beasts that you've defeated.
I don't even remember how I might have done. I did definitely 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And there's 4
I
altogether.
would think
There's
you.
4.
Yeah, I would think you've done at least 3. I know you're a slower gamer, meaning you explore more. But
Yeah.
70 hours, I would think you at least had to have done 3 by now.
I ran around so much.
And when people just go, you can go right to the end boss in Breath of the
Oh,
Wild.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult, and there's no additional help. But if you defeat all the beast temples, then you get a massive boost of help, which is awesome.
Interesting.
They Mass Affected the video game. That's
A
what
little
they did.
bit.
Well, then it's terrible, then, right? So it's
A
terrible.
little bit.
Everybody was mad about Mass Effect.
Derek, what about you? Any quick hits of stuff you're playing or watching?
I'm gonna keep it real quick. I only have one, and I'm not gonna talk about it that much. I stopped playing my Persona 5 gameplay or playthrough on the PS4.
Yeah.
I was 50 hours in. I beat the fourth castle, and then I watched a video on Royal and all the changes and the girl in the backgrounds in Royal, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play Royal. So
All for the redhead. All for the redhead.
yeah, so I started over. I'm 13 hours in. I'm through the second castle. I absolutely love this game. Like, if we were to re-rate 2017, I have no idea where I put Persona 5. I would imagine it made my top 10, but it was probably real low or it was right outside of it. I don't remember 2017 at all, so I don't know what was in it. I know Zelda and Horizon, so I know it wouldn't be number 1, but I would think it's got to be in the top 5.
2017
I absolutely love it.
Re-rank.
I absolutely love this game. Like, I love all the characters.
awesome.
I
That's
love
great.
the combat. So, I'm gonna continue that. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm definitely beating it. Like, I think I'll beat it, but I think it's gonna be that I'm gonna play it like I played a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I'm just gonna take my time. When new releases come out, like next week, I'm planning on getting. I'm actually planning on buying the Disney Racer. I forgot what the name is.
Disney
Something
Storm or something like that.
Is it Disney Storm?
think
So
so.
I think I've been watching videos on it. It looks really good. So as long as it's not complete trash, I'll let somebody review it first. I will get that. And Dead Island 2 is coming out. So I'm going to let myself get distracted by new releases. But Persona 5 is definitely, if you're at all interested, I know Jeff has been getting into JRPGs a little bit more. This is one, if you buy Royal, you don't have to be scared at all. You can literally put it on. It really doesn't matter what difficulty you can't put it on. You can put it on story, which is like they just fall over as soon as you enter the arena.
That sounds
But
great.
like, yeah. But if you have the Royal DLC, it has all the high tier personas, so it's like level 90, and you can just one shot everybody, even bosses.
Story mode is the enemies come in and go, oh sorry, didn't realize you were in the middle of something.
Oh, sorry.
They-
I'm
they
sorry,
back
let me-
away slowly.
My bad. Let's get back to the story. We don't want to invade your.
Whoopsies.
Whoops,
Just
baby.
stop by to say, vote for us for Game of the Year. Okay, we're gonna back away.
Persona 5 was actually my first, at least in adulthood, I guess, my first actual JRPG.
Oh,
that I played.
nice.
Because I played it at launch for a few hours. Not that long, but a few hours.
I put about 20 hours into it, maybe. I think I beat 2 castles. I thought it was a really excellent game. It just that
Fantastic.
style of game
Beefy.
and storytelling just isn't my favorite thing. That doesn't mean it's not good.
See, I really like, and I don't know the mystery, so don't spoil it or anything. I really like how they do the story because the beginning of the game is all a mystery. Like they're already established sort of the Phantom Thieves, and then they catch Joker and they're questioning him, and then it's Joker's job to tell the story.
Yeah.
So you're
like Quentin
actually
Tarantino,
playing,
right?
yeah, you're playing his version of the story, like whatever he's telling the detective. So there is this great mystery that I want to know about. Like
Yeah, that's good.
there's
That's cool.
the stories of the villains that you're changing their hearts, but you have an overarching story that I'm like, hey, I want to know about these Phantom Thieves. I want to know why or how they became what they became. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting stuff, and there's a lot of cool characters.
You know, you reminded me of something when you said, totally unrelated to Persona, but you said something about something trash. It reminded me of a podcast on YouTube, and I'm sure it's elsewhere too. I am confident, Jeff, you have to have seen this or heard of this. It's called Are You Garbage?
I have not.
It is so funny. It's these two guys, and they interview all kinds of comedians. I watched the recent Shane Gillis episode, and Tim Dillon, and Tom Segura, and it's so freaking funny. Like, they literally say, "We're going to invite your favorite comedians on to find out if they're garbage," and it's so funny.
Wow.
Just the whole concept of it is hilarious. And so anyway, sometimes it's a little Bob and Tom in terms of like they'll all make each other laugh nonstop. So if that bothers you, don't bother with it. But like it's got a lot of that where they're all just kind of one-upping each other with the jokes and the sillies, and I think it's great. So Are You
That's
Garbage?
kind of podcast to me.
What a funny what a funny name too.
Definitely sounds like something Derek created.
Yeah, Are
But,
You
like
Garbage?
change trash to garbage, you know?
It would,
Dang it, that was my
it would
third
totally be
podcast
Are You
idea for this
Trash.
channel. Dang it.
Are you garbage? All right, let's go through a few headlines here. Redfall, guys, just take a moment. Redfall is not gonna have
Let's just unload right now. Let's
60.
go.
That's
Go
not gonna
ahead.
have 60 frames per second performance
God!
at launch, and only for the Xbox consoles. It won't have it at launch. Although I have seen some really funny tweets and retweets people have brought back up from when these systems launched about how at minimum we're going to have 60 frames per second on all games. That's baseline, 120 for most. Like that's what they said.
Well, let's not forget that
Really
these
early.
consoles were advertised as 8K. We can do 8K. No, you can't.
No, you
cannot do 8K. You can't even do 4K at 60 frames per second. You're not doing 8K. Shut up.
They haven't unlocked that part of the
They can do
motherboard.
They can do 8K on Vampire Survivors. That's what they can do.
That's
8K.
what I mean.
They haven't unlocked that ability yet.
Yeah.
So of course people are revolting this, and even diehard Xbox fans are kind of going like, guys, like they're a little embarrassed. It's kind of like, oh, come on, because
I mean, it's got to be a little embarrassing. I mean,
little
you
bit,
did
especially
tout
because
it
of
as
all
the
the
most
games.
powerful console, and PS5
Exactly.
beats it every time.
That's right. And so I understand the frustration. It's almost like they had to hit this date, so they're going to go ahead and launch it
That's
at
what it
performance
is.
levels they can't quite hit, but they're going to add it at a later date. And I'm going, guys, you should have delayed this game, because this is I think more of a negative than a positive. Like it's more of a negative to say, here's some modes that everyone expected that we're not going to have, but we're going to hit our launch date. It's like, oof, yikes.
So Jimmy just wanted to pop in and
Jimmy
let y'all
Ryan's here.
know that
Jim Ryan. Yeah.
60 frames or GTFO, all right? Or GTFO.
How about if you're gonna look, I'm fine with Jimmy Ryan joining our show.
So am I.
But if he's gonna come on our show, he's got to have his own like identity, his own voice. He can't
he needs
just
to
sound
call
like
in.
Daniel Fredix.
We need to get someone call in on the phone. We need to get Jimmy Ryan to call in. That's what we need.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Ryan.
Yeah.
Hi, my
Hey,
name.
guys.
My name.
Hey guys!
If you think that
Make him
games
sound
are
like he's
30
from
frames per
South
second,
Park.
Like I've heard him
you
speak,
might be
but I can't
Xboxing.
like I couldn't think of a way to like do Jimmy Ryan.
It's Michael Jackson.
He's just he's Jeff Foxworthy, but his you might be an Xbox gamer. That's his thing. So you might
And
be a
isn't
redneck.
he from the UK?
If you
Oh,
release
hello.
a AAA game at 35 frames per second, you
If
might
you
be an
think
Xbox.
It should
You
be
might
30
an
frames
Xbox.
per second, yeah? Then you might be an Xbox gamer.
now
see?
you all hurt his feelings. He's gonna go cry now, so he's gotta
All
go.
right, bye, Jimmy. Thanks
You
for
all
dropping
hurt
by,
his
buddy.
feelings.
Get the
Yeah,
freak
you
out.
So basically, the way they're pitching this is that it's going to have a quality mode only, which means that it's going to either be 4K at 30 frames per second, and then the Series S is going to have 1440 at 30 frames per second. So kind of
Pretty
rough.
impressed that the Series S can do 1440 at 30. I actually thought that if Xbox Series X could only do 4K at 30, that Series S would be at 1080p. I really did,
Yeah.
especially
I
with
would
how
have thought
big
at the
game-
very least they would have really pushed to get 4K 60 on the Series X. And if the Series S was like, we can't get up to 60 yet, we're going to patch it in for the S, people
Listen.
would be much more understanding.
I am going to actually agree with Fab for once, and I know Jeff owns a Series S, and so does Daniel. So I'm not trying to piss you guys off,
Kyle
but
does too.
I
How dare you.
really think the Series S is the dumbest thing Xbox did because I really think that a lot of these type of issues is because they're like, hey guys, we got a program for 2 boxes instead of 1, and they're having issues like doing this. I think you're gonna run into it with Starfield too. Like you're taking extra time
Resources.
to optimize 2
Resources.
boxes for 1 platform instead of for 1 release, I should say, instead of being able to focus on 1 box and be like, here's the specs, we can hit this, we can hit it by this date. They can't do that, and that's
Well,
that's
I mean,
It's
Xbox's
possible,
fault.
but I find it hard to believe that if they only had 1 console, they magically would hit 60 for this game. But maybe they would have. Maybe they would.
But I think they not 60 at 4K. I'm saying they would hit. I think they would at launch be able to release a 60. I think they could. I don't think they would be wasting their time with 2 boxes.
I just don't know. I have no idea what the.
I mean, here's
From
the
what
thing.
I've heard from watching like Digital Foundry and stuff like that, it's a pain in the ass, is what I've heard, to be able to
Yeah,
have to optimize.
There's been
for
enough.
multiple-
There's been enough reports across gaming journalism or whatever that have confirmed that too. So I totally believe it. Like that developers are like, we got to make a Series S port, guys. Oh my God, this is gonna take so much more time, and you know.
I think that this always falls with like other things. I'm trying to think of another example, but like if that is the case though, then just make the main one. If the X can handle it, just focus on that. Have some kind of team on the side, small team working on the S, and just release the game as high quality as it could possibly be. And then anybody with the S has to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Just
They
you wait a
can't
little
do
bit.
it. They can't do it.
But you know why? It's because publishers, it's because people bitch and they complain and they're impatient.
Well,
But it's Microsoft. They did
they
it
pitched the
because they
console
sold
as-
it to you
Yeah,
Well, sure.
as part of the Series X
Right.
/ their next gen platforms. So if they go, well, we're going to release this game on Series X, but not on Series S, I guarantee you everybody that owns a Series S would be like,
Well, so I wasn't
Lawsuit.
saying to not release it at all. I just mean that we get it like X amount of time later.
But
No,
even
I'm
that would
saying
be
even
going
a
against
delay.
that would go against their promises of what the Series
Yeah.
Sure.
X and S were.
But here's the thing, I just don't care because like all of that jargon when new
Yeah.
consoles are coming out and they're like, oh my God, the new system, blah,
Get a
blah,
second
blah.
job.
We're going to deliver this and that. And then like
We
if it
have
doesn't happen, I'm like, well,
27 teraflops.
Teraflops.
yeah,
Well,
I don't.
they
I
flop a
don't
lot,
care.
buddy. They flop
So I'll
a
say
They
I-
lot.
flop so hard a Terra happens.
Just to
I
be
don't know what that
clear,
is.
just to be clear, the PC version of this won't have that issue. This is just for the Xbox
Terraformed.
console versions. So it's not
I'm
PC.
going to, in honor of all you Series X gamers, I'm gonna cap my playthrough at
Yes.
30
30,
frames
yeah,
per
I
Feel
bet
second
you
our
will.
pain. Feel
on
our
my
pain.
RTX 3090.
I totally
I'm gonna
bet you
cap
will.
it.
I
Yep.
honestly, I wish I had more feelings about. I'm so indifferent about frame caps. I really
I am
couldn't give a
too.
crap.
I'm
I just
with
give me the game. I don't care.
I actually disagree with you though that the Series S was a bad move. I really don't think it was, at least financially. I understand development.
No,
wise,
it wasn't bad financially.
but you said it was
I
one of
think
the dumbest business moves they could have made, and I just don't think that's true.
I'm saying for like developing games.
Yeah, for
but
game
for like,
quality, that might be true. Yeah.
but for bringing in like ponies to buy your system, no, it was a great move. Great
Yeah.
move.
Yeah, it really, I think it has moved more consoles than they would have otherwise if they just had a pound for pound.
I
You know,
agree.
300
PS5
definitely
also.
easier than 500. It's
Yeah.
easier pill to swallow.
It is, for sure. All right, well, the last trailer for Tears of the Kingdom has been released, and I agree with a
Oh,
lot of the
what
takes that I've
announcement.
seen out there, but it's like,
It looks
they
dumb.
did not need to go this hard on this final trailer, but they did, and like they went real. They were like, "Oh, you don't think this is any different than Breath of the Wild? You don't think this has got any story? All right, well, let's show you some stuff." I thought they went really hard on this trailer, both with the music, which was gorgeous, and just kind of the epic nature of hitting you with gameplay moments and major characters that are either being introduced, some I did not recognize from Breath of the Wild, and then some major characters that I do recognize. And so, mild spoilers, if you don't want to hear about this, skip ahead. It's just in the trailer, though, so I don't know what to tell you. It's in the trailer. they very clearly bring back Ganondorf. So he's not dead, but when has he not come back for a Zelda game? Every Zelda game, he's around.
Yeah.
True.
And so he's back, and he even kind of says it himself, the revival of a king. I just thought it was so epic the way that they brought him back with the voiceover and stuff. And this guy, Matthew Mercer, confirmed that he's doing the voice of Ganondorf.
Yep.
And at first I heard that name and I was like, sounds familiar. And he's in like everything. Like he did the voice for Leon in Resident Evil 6. He was Chrom in Fire Emblem Awakening. He was Cole Cassidy, I guess Jesse McCree in Overwatch. He was Ira in Kingdom Hearts and McCready in Fallout 4. He's also been involved with Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter series, doing voices there.
No, he did that much game stuff. I associate him with like some D&D stuff on YouTube and things.
Same
I
here.
knew him from
Same
that, but I didn't know he
Well,
was.
he also did acting work on Attack on Titan, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure,
Wow.
One Piece, and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. So he's
Wow.
done a ton
Nice.
of voice acting. And so,
Interesting.
yeah, I was looking at his resume. I was like, where have I heard of this guy? And then I saw all the stuff unfold. I was like, holy crap.
And
he's
then
been stuff.
and then Nintendo handed him his lines, and it's like 3 words.
yeah.
I am Ganondorf.
Just a lot of "Rah!" Just a lot of that. So anyway, they did reveal a bunch of characters, locations, gameplay stuff. I just think it looks so good.
I know people are gonna think I'm like just fanboying out, but like when I watched previous stuff, I was like, this is cool, right?
Yes.
When I watched this trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is Nintendo to me, like stepping it up. Like this is epic. Like I got goosebumps.
I got
like,
goosebumps
I'm like,
too, man. Yeah.
okay, I'm ready for this game now.
Yeah.
I'm really, really ready for this game. This is crazy.
Yeah.
This looks really good.
I'm a little annoyed that because they put it out essentially 1 month. They kind of purposefully did it one exact month before the game releases. And I was like, I have to wait a whole month for this now. Like I am so hyped
Audacity.
at that moment when I watched it. But
So Jesse and Rob, who I'm in like a chat with, they're they're basically Nintendo haters for the most part. Although
Right.
Rob just bought a Switch, but for the most part, they're pretty Nintendo haters.
well, they're not alone. There's a lot of folks who feel like
They
Nintendo's
sound like
not for
me. I'm not a Nintendo hater, but I just
Yeah.
it's fine.
So
we're
I
fine.
pasted
we're fine.
the trailer in this, and I said, if either one of you bitch about this, you're unfriended. And both of them, or Jesse responded back, he's like, you already unfriended all of us on Facebook, so I don't care. I said, well, I'm unfriending you again in my mind. Watch this trailer right now. Of course, neither one of them gave a crap, but
Or did
I was,
they?
waiting,
They
I
just
was
did-
hoping for a
I
better
think
ending to the
Rob's
story.
gonna buy it because that's why he
True.
bought a Switch. I think he's gonna buy Zelda.
I was gonna
But
say, or did they? But they did the Derek thing where Derek acts all aloof and doesn't care, but
Yeah,
he
just puts
you know.
a totally unrelated.
Daniel
gift in the
Freitas,
chat.
you're saying I'm acting? You don't think this is who I really am? This is my true self.
This is my true
Okay.
self.
This is my true.
Yeah.
self.
Oh,
All right,
yeah,
Tom
I'm-
Brady.
I'm
All
aware.
right, Tom Brady.
Okay, we don't need
All
a
right,
big
Tom,
parade.
all right, Tom Brady.
The Mario
away.
Brothers.
Put 'em away.
Mario Brothers movie is pretty successful. Don't know if you guys knew this, but
Oh my gosh.
it not only broke
Shock.
the
Flop.
kind of opening weekend record set by Frozen 2, it broke that record.
Suck
But-
it, Frozen.
It is also now the
I know
top
for real. That talk about underwhelming.
the top
but whatever, it's
opening
fine.
film of the year so far, which is only 4 months in, and we got the whole summer season ahead of us. I'm assuming something else will top it, but that's still pretty impressive.
It broke another record today, and I can't remember what
And
it
then
was.
it beat Ant-Man and the Wasps. Quantum. Yeah,
highest grossing video game adaptation
Video
of
game.
all time.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, yeah.
getting to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shit.
Spoilers.
That's okay. I was trying to push through it. I was like, you're gonna steal my
Steal my
it's-
thunder.
Yep,
It's
yep.
Illuminations.
Just kidding.
It's Illumination's most successful
Whoa.
opening, which is not a big surprise. They've never really quite broken through. This is really their first big breakthrough, I think, that they've had. And it has the best opening of any film game adaptation, surpassing Sonic the Hedgehog 2's debut.
Wow.
That was just with the openings, right? But what Jeff
Yeah.
just said is it just became the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time, not just for opening weekends. In less than 2 weeks here, they have surpassed Pokemon Detective
It's
Pikachu.
literally just the start.
Oh, yeah.
Just the start.
That's-
and I know Guardians 3 could ruin it, but even still, Super Mario can appeal to a different audience. That
But it's important that it's video game related, right? Because it's
Yes.
been the
Yes,
joke for
yes.
years that like you can't make a video game movie like good. You just can't do it. You can't do
What
it.
I
It was
like about it
the
is
real
that
world
it's-
Mission Impossible. That
I love that it's hitting financial success and generally, I would say at the very least, critical above average reviews. In some cases,
Right.
really liking it a lot. So that part's nice. It's not just making a ton of money because of the IP, and people are actually enjoying it too. So I am glad for
Yeah.
that.
What's that smirk on your face there, Derek? What's that smirk on your face?
I'm actually watching a post where it's from. Who is it? Key and Play, or I don't know what their
Key and
names
Peele?
are.
Key and Peele,
Key and Peele.
Oh,
Key
Wow.
and Play. Kid and Play.
Kid and Play.
Boomer.
But it's a skit
Okay,
from
Boomer.
Key and Peele, and I don't know which one it is. I want to say it's Peele. Is walking through. I think he's the president, and he's like doing the handshake.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that one,
They,
yes,
they,
that one.
they.
But it's
meaning, like,
all
Chris
Resident
Epstein,
Evil
yeah.
titles. So all the like,
Six.
all the good Resident Evil ones. He's like this, like
then
that,
he
and all the
skips a
trash.
few.
He's like,
Which one is the one where he gets to key and he hesitates because he doesn't know if he's black or white?
Resident
Six,
Evil
right?
7.
That's
Resident Evil
7. He's like,
He like pauses.
yeah.
It's so good.
That sketch is hilarious, man. That sketch is
I
good.
love
so
that
funny.
sketch. It's so good.
Final Fantasy XVI State of Play aired this week. Don't know if you guys knew this, but this game is going to be really good, and it might be one of the best looking, at least
Oh.
trailer wise, best looking games I've ever seen.
Here's the thing, Tim. It's actually going to be terrible because as a
Oh,
Final
shut
Fantasy
up.
fan, I know above you guys.
Oh, okay.
The community. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just making fun of all the dumb old Final Fantasy fans that just insist on if it's not turn based,
turn-based.
not
You
my
want
Final
old and
Fantasy.
pixelated
Like,
Not my
and
Final
turn-based.
Fantasy.
and it's just like, for God's sakes, people, like, what is wrong with you? Like, if you're a real fan, you would acknowledge that like every combat system in some way, shape, or form has been different than the previous Final Fantasy. You effing morons! Like, and I was breaking it down too, actually, with a side chat with Jesse and Chuck and Clayton and Mark. Like half of the mainline Final Fantasies are medieval fantasy, and like the other half aren't. So then you also have the fans that bitch when it's, not medieval fantasy, which we are getting in this case, right? We are
Big
finally
time.
we are going back into that setting.
Yeah, this is like
Um,
serious, gritty medieval setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
feels
Very
this feels very
Um,
Witcher mature.
Yes.
I like it.
but it's just this incest. Just people cannot let go that it's
Yeah.
not turn. And it's like I get it. I do still enjoy this. I'm playing Octopath Traveler 2. I get it, but
This
it's
is
like
fun.
it's
Well,
fine.
here's the thing, though. Those games still exist if they want to keep playing them.
There's
but
so
like,
many
I mean-
more of
But
those.
do
right.
you really think if I'm asking us, and I know what our answer is going to be, but even
Mm.
for like other like gamers that complain about this stuff, let's say Final Fantasy 16 came out and they're hyping this trailer, and the trailer came out and it looked like Octopath. Do you really think people are like, oh my god, this is how I envisioned Final Fantasy 16 looking?
No,
They would
they'd
be
be
No,
more
but-
let down.
Shift that a little bit. That's a little straw man-y. Shift it a little bit to be like, instead of action combat, it was turn-based. Still looks the same, still has the epic scope and
Right.
scale, but now it's turn-based. I do think people would still be
They
hyped
want it
about
to look the way that it looks, but they
Yeah.
want the combat to be they don't want the action. Like the second that anything actiony is going on, to those people, it's like, this isn't a Final Fantasy game. And it's like, but that's not what
I
that's
can't,
not
I
what
can't think
defines
of a
Final
single
Fantasy.
game that looks as good as Final Fantasy 16 does that's turn-based. Like, I just don't. I mean, that looks
No.
that cinematic, that real.
There are modern turn-based games with modern graphics, but you're right. There's not a lot.
It's
Like,
just kind of the way
Tales
that
of Arise
they
is
shoot it or
turn-based,
whatever
right?
you want to
Or
call
no?
it.
Yeah,
It lends
I mean,
itself to
no,
turn.
because
no,
it's
that's
like
more
it's
it's
actiony.
It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
action in a box.
That's more
yeah,
action.
yeah, kind of
Look,
in arena anyway.
Action in the box.
But again, like, and to be honest, and they could do, like, when 17 comes out, maybe it is a little more turn-based in some way, shape, or form. But it's like, guys, let it go. That this is what they've always done. They're just leaning more action now.
The problem
And
is people think that being an action game means it's no longer a role-playing game, which is just a stupid way. I mean, so much strategy and RPG elements in these
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, they want the menus. They want
the
the
way
menus.
you guys felt about Zelda is how I felt about this state of play, honestly. Like, I mean, I don't even have the diehard love for the franchise that Dan does, but
Sure. Yeah.
there are things that happen in the trailer and I'm like, you could do that too? Like, was losing my mind over.
I gotta
some
be
of that
honest.
stuff.
I skipped through a lot of it because I was like,
You're
I'm
sold.
already
good.
super sold on
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and I want to see pieces of it. Like I kind of wanted to see some of the but
Yeah, it's a
I
lot.
didn't
It's
want to
30
hear all
minutes.
the explanation. It's
Yeah.
not even. It was long, but I also was like, I kind of want to just hold back some of this. So I
I
just
only
kind of
watched like 10 minutes of it.
I
Yeah.
kind of like skimmed through it to like certain parts. I was like, oh, that looks cool, and then I would skip ahead a little bit. So
They
that's how I
showed a
watched
full,
it.
I always call it kaiju, but I know that's not the name of the
The icons.
yeah.
The icon.
They showed like a full and how genuinely like how big it can really get,
Yeah,
like to its
it's insane.
maximum size.
It's
Some of those things are the size of planets. It's ridiculous. Like it's gonna be so freaking epic, man. I can't wait.
It's just at the end of the day, the combat system, or even just medieval fantasy setting, these individual things don't define by themselves what Final Fantasy is, and I just wish these people would stop just boiling it down to this
I
one
would say
thing.
even
I'm
Final
with you.
doesn't define Final Fantasy because we've gotten a gazillion of these.
But
Yeah.
each of these
Agreed.
But
fantasies
fantasy
are
certainly does describe it.
fantasy.
Yeah, the name is just there for the recognizable
Sure.
IP
At this point,
now.
I mean,
It
some of
doesn't-
them have had sequels, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, 10,
true.
10, 2, but
doesn't
like
mean anything.
each one is like its own final thing. It's kind of like what it's
My
implying.
only it's not really a criticism, but I feel like the visuals of the combat look visually, just with my eyeballs, look busy. But I have
It's
a
very
feeling that I don't like watching it. But if I play it, I'll be like, oh yeah, this feels great.
Well,
I feel like there's a barrier there because
It
I'm
could
not
be
playing.
overwhelming. I did get that vibe.
Yeah.
It could
yeah,
get a little
combat wise though, it's interesting how they're doing difficulty where you equip certain accessories and there's certain things that it tweaks. Like dodging is either automatic or it's like slows down time that 1 second before you're about to get hit, which gives it, I like that. I like that middle ground there. I don't want it to just completely dodge for me. That seems too easy.
Yeah, same here.
But it's interesting because it's not like you're not choosing an actual like easy, normal, hard. It's more like equip this stuff and you could tweak it along your journey and be like, all right, I'm more comfortable with combat now. Maybe I actually take away the 1 second like slow down or something. I think that's actually kind of cool. So
yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game looks absolutely epic. And
It is
great.
really, 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 really dumb that Diablo 4 is coming out like right before this game.
Well, you guys can play that, and I will take care of
That's my dilemma. Like you guys will probably be wrapped up in Zelda for a while because it's probably gonna be a long game. But
Yeah,
Diablo
but how
4,
you
I'm gonna
feel
be
about
obsessed.
that
Like,
is how I feel about May because I'm really hyped for Redfall.
yeah,
So
Ah,
Redfall
yeah.
and Zelda are right by each other, and I'm like, well,
Crap.
that really annoys me because I really want to get really lost in Redfall because it's an open world game. There's a lot to it, and I don't want to feel like I'm rushing either one of them, and it's annoying when it's like that.
If Jedi Survivor is as big as they're saying it is, I don't think there's
That's
a chance
another
I'll have
one.
that finished before Zelda. So we'll see what
that's
happens.
one where I'm like, I'm gonna be the one in the group that's like, sorry guys, I'm still playing Survivor. I haven't started Zelda yet. Like,
Yeah,
because I'm a Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I'm a Star Wars.
and
nut over
they're
Zelda,
saying how
but,
much
like,
bigger it is than the first game. I didn't think the first game was small. Like it was
first
a pretty
game is
big.
like a 40-hour. It took me however long it took me to beat Hogwarts, basically, which I beat in like a week and a half. It was like a 40-hour game, and that was the first Jedi Fallen Order. That's what I remember that being.
Which I think had like a mainline long to beat in the 20s. I think.
Yeah. So I
Let me
I explored
check.
a lot. I revisited worlds a lot to.
Might have been
to
like
look-
18 to 22,
for
something
stuff.
like that.
I don't remember it being that long, but let me check.
I want to say it was just under, right around 20.
But I did beat it really quickly. Like Jedi Fallen Order was one of those games similar to like Horizon Forbidden West for me, and Hogwarts, where like
You dove in.
yeah, it was like
Yeah, it's
all
17
every ounce of
hours.
my free time. was that
17
game.
for mainline only.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then 22 for extra, 32 for completion.
What
I wanna
the hell
say-
was I doing? So it's got to be 30 hours then that I beat.
I want to say that I spent about 20 on that one.
Hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But speaking of epic games, how in the world are we going to play all these? The Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores launch trailer released.
God
And
damn.
talking of
I'm
epic,
so
like,
pumped.
holy crap, man.
I'm
like,
thinking it'll be short though.
I
hope
don't
so.
know. The Frozen Wastes wasn't, or was it Frozen Wilds? Whatever that
I
was
think it
called.
was like 7
Frozen
hours,
Wilds, yeah.
right? It wasn't that
I
long.
feel like it
Let's
took me
do it.
7 hours just to get back into the swing of things in the game. But you know how
Yeah.
there's so much in-depth stuff with the combat and all
I'm
that.
Yeah,
totally reinstalling the game and just going back into my old save where I don't want to
Derek's
start a
in
new
a
game
good
plus.
spot.
I really don't want to start a new game plus and go back through the motions again.
Right.
So I'll just go back into
Yeah,
my old
7
save. Just play.
hours.
Yeah.
Frozen Wilds was 7.5 hours. If you did the side stuff, it jumps to 12.5.
I think I did a lot of the side stuff. I also think I went
Okay.
back and did a bunch of the main game stuff that I had missed, since it really just opens up a new section. So I remember when Frozen Wilds came out, I spent probably another 15, 20 hours in that world doing
Gosh.
stuff.
I typically like snowy, like fall type weather and scenery in video games, but I actually thought this game or this DLC looks cooler than Frozen
Burning Shores.
Wilds.
I think it does
Yeah,
too.
I think
It's
I think it
it's
looks
LA,
really cool.
right?
And
It's,
that final shot of
Hollywood,
the,
the
big,
sign is
California.
still up.
the final shot of that big boss fight with the octopus looking thing, and she's like getting
my
ready to face off with it. I was
Yeah,
like,
big old monster. Yeah.
How are we gonna? This makes no sense. I have a bow and arrow. It's
I
like
hope-
Hawkeye in Avengers 2.
I hope something flies
None of
in to
this
pick
makes
me up.
sense.
Yeah.
Hey, he's the
Yeah.
strongest Avenger now. He's the
Just to be
strongest.
clear though, just like
He
with
is.
the
I mean,
previous
he did
DLC,
get ran over.
just like with the previous DLC, you do have to complete the main quest to unlock the access to the new content.
Of
So even
course.
if you buy it, you have to complete the main quest, which makes sense because it picks up right after, the story
Yeah.
leaves off.
I'm glad it's not like a. Okay, it's right before the final mission, so now you go do it. And like,
I am too.
I can't stand when games do that. Even though it's like it's fine if they do it, but it's still like a thing that irks me when I play a game. I'm like, all that stuff didn't matter, and I have to reload. And Outer Worlds does that. You have to reload the save before you raid the prison, if you decide to.
That's
and
pretty
then
annoying.
and then go to do the expansions, both of which are great, but it's just kind of annoying.
Yeah. Well, there's a game coming out in July that I am interested in the same level that I think, a lot of us sometimes will raise our eyebrows at a probably swimming in sevens game, but maybe it'll surprise us and be better than that. And that's this game called Immortals of Aveum, which is a
Oh, it
weird
looks
word.
really good.
I think the magic ranged attacking looks fun. It's an EA published game. It's from a new studio called Ascendant Studios, and it's Brett Robbins is the former creative director of the original Dead Space games. He also worked on Call
Oh.
of Duty and a bunch of other stuff. So he's got the chops for something like this. But he said the idea of doing a magic shooter was something that was just kicking around in my head for a long time. Seemed like the type of game I'd really like to play. I love fantasy games. I love shooters. And most fantasy games were more slower paced RPG style games. And so he wanted to make something fast paced and shooter feeling in a fantasy magic wielding
Yeah.
environment. And I think it looks really interesting.
Me
So
too.
my expectations are that it will deliver on a lot of things, but miss on some and kind of be a 7 or 8
Mhm.
for me personally. And I think that'd be fun. That sounds great.
That's what it
And
looks
it
like
co-
to me too. And
July
and also,
20th. It's coming out soon.
July, wow. And I'm also very surprised at how polished it looks for a game that I did not know anything about until this week.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I was very
it's
impressed by
EA
what I saw.
doing that EA original. So what I think they're doing is they're buying up not the studios, but they're getting contracts with these studios that probably already started these games,
Yeah.
and they're funding it, maybe giving them support, and then it's releasing under EA Originals. So I think that Wild Hearts released under EA Originals as well. So they've been doing this for a little while, where they're taking good ideas and then backing it with good funding and then releasing it pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
I honestly, when I watched it, I thought all you guys were just gonna tag me and say this is a Derek game. I didn't actually expect any of you to be like, "Yeah, this looks good," but I knew right away. What's the game coming out? It's actually real soon. It's like in May or something, and it's definitely a Derek game. It's where you can like surf on the sand.
Oh, Atlas something?
Yeah, Fallen Atlas or something like that.
Yeah, that one looks
Of
cool.
course, it has
Yeah, that one
Atlas
looks
Fall
cool.
in there. Yeah, Atlas
Fall, yeah.
Fallen.
God
Like
damn
this
it.
one should say Immortals Fallen or something like that. But this game kind of
Avium
reminded me
Fallen.
of something close to that type of game. So that level of game. So I
Wow.
think both of those are going to fall into the 7 and 8.
By the way, Derek, I didn't even piece together how close Redfall was to Jedi Survivor. Like, I thought it was a little later in May, but it's like 4 days after. It's 4
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's gonna be my.
So I'll let
It's
you
gotta
guys,
be- oh, I can't wait.
unless Jedi Survivor is literally Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, you can come on, get
Inquisition.
it. There you go.
I'm struggling
So
too.
a couple notes about this game real quick. Single
Then
player
I'm not going to
magic.
care about that.
single-player Magic FPS built on Unreal Engine 5. It's being referred to as Call of Duty without guns. Spells can act as long-range rifles or shotguns, etc. A 25-hour-long campaign. Got a bunch of sci-fi elements. Combat's fast-paced. Think like Doom is what they've compared it to.
All right, cool.
With 25 total spells, plenty of upgrades, and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun. So I hope it delivers.
You know what I liked, and I don't know her name, but you guys would all recognize her. But I like that they got some good voice actors and actual good actors and actresses from shows.
Yeah, Gina. She's from
looks
Firefly.
like-
Gina
Yeah.
Torres. Gina Torres
Yep.
is doing a voice in it.
She's got a great voice, and she's like one of the main characters. So I think this is going to be a fun game. I really do. Looks good.
Well, another game that we've talked about a few times and we thought was like ready and just waiting for licensing things. It sounds like maybe it's not quite ready. So THQ Nordic community manager denies the claim that AEW Fight Forever is basically ready. Last month, the AEW president, Tony Khan, said, the game's pretty much finished, guys. We can't give you the exact release date, but it's it's pretty much done. And so the senior community manager of THQ Nordic, the people actually making the game, he said, well, I mean, if you want an unfinished game, sure, we could release it now.
All about that.
And I was like, I thought that was pretty cutting. If you want an unfinished game, we could
I
release it.
think that's pretty symbolic of how the relationship has been going as far as making this game. Apparently, it's been a rocky road.
Yeah, he said it's just
kind of a
another
shame.
rumor on Twitter, and it's not 100%.
Rumor on Twitter.
So
Started by the president of the company.
of the company being
so it's
licensed.
going to be
not the
a
game company.
2024 game.
It could be.
Probably. Everybody in the wrestling, whatever subreddit, whatever you want to call it, everybody's very excited for the game, like at least the N64 vibes of it. But all the comments are like, "Why did you show it so early?" Like all of us are now we're like, okay, so it's AEW Wait Forever then? It's not AEW Fight Forever.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Everybody's just memeing it.
I'll tell you
to
what,
death now.
man. If they would just, and I know there's too many licensed things in place. There's already a 2K game. This would never happen, but just remaster No Mercy and release that thing for like $30, and so many people will buy it. But I don't think they ever will. But
you would think that WWE or whatever they want to call themselves, if they did that, would jump on that because they would get all that license, like whatever it is, the money from that. They would get all the residuals.
And just make it as a retro remaster. Don't try to pretend like it's taking
just
over 2K.
Do what Xbox did with GoldenEye.
Yes.
Just clean up the controls, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
maybe
make the resolution bigger, but that's it.
The resolution and the performance, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's like a 7 frames per second type of experience in a lot of cases. So, speaking of 2024, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League officially delayed, not just unofficially rumored. To February.
I gotta be honest, I don't actually care. Like, I'm actually happy that one got delayed.
Push it back. I saw Ryan McCaffrey from IGN tweeted out basically saying if they don't use this time to get rid of the always online and just strip out all of the kind of microtransactional aspects of this, in his mind, people are going to destroy this game when it does release.
Oh, yeah.
He's very dramatic, though, so I don't.
And I think those are the two main things, right? Yeah. Those are the two main things.
And I don't know that they should strip everything out, but they do need to use this time in addition to probably polishing the game. They should use this time to reevaluate, like, all right, based on the feedback, is that really what we want to do? Maybe.
The whole just loot stuff, I think it works with certain games like Borderlands. That's just kind of what the tagline of that was, right? Yeah. But these games that then again, it's like the publisher, the people at the top are like, oh, that everybody loves that shit. Put that in our game. It's like they need to stop doing that. It doesn't just apply to everything. Like this game doesn't. I like cosmetic, like characters looking different. I'm all for that. But don't make it where it's just like everything's color coded and I'm carrying all this shit for like every game. Like that needs to be scaled back a bit. Yeah,
I think it's one of those games that if they kind of leave those pieces as is because they're working on other stuff, probably this podcast crew will end up playing it in all very Gotham Knight style. Like that was pretty fun. I wish people wouldn't hate on it so much, but the general consensus will come back pretty negative if they don't do something to address some of that stuff. And that's okay. I'm okay with everyone else not loving a game that Is like that I enjoy.
My only thing is like, okay, if this is what Dan just said, if it's just corporate bullcrap, like, hey, we're only putting this in because this is successful, then yes, remove it. If it's actually what's the name of the company, Rocksteady? If this is actually what Rocksteady envisioned and desired and wanted, I don't think we should ever listen to fans, because if there's anything that I've ever learned is that fans will judge an entire game based off like a 3-minute trailer without knowing shit, and they will rage, and then the game will come out and they'll be like, "Oh, it's actually good." You know, it's
like the difficulty argument, right? With all the Souls games, they put the easy mode in there, and it's like, well, I mean, guys, that's not what they want. Yeah.
And they don't listen to them, which I absolutely love. They don't even acknowledge it. They act like this isn't even a thing.
They're just walking right by, like they're over here. Like,
and the game continues to sell. It continues to sell.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. Last but not least, Cliffy B says, "Stay tuned for Lawbreakers news."
It's Lawbreakers news.
I actually liked that game. I don't like
But
Cliffy
I mean,
B, but that was actually a fun game.
So that game was released in August of 2017, and it shut down just under a year later in 2018 because of lack of player count. Yeah. But he tweeted on Thursday that he got a text from his lawyer about the game. It was kind of cryptic. Like, I got a text from my lawyer about Lawbreakers. And apparently there was a surge of support and excitement of people saying, like, "Ooh, I can't wait. Loved that game." Like, lots of that. And then he started to react back to that. Like, what are you all talking about? Why is there all this support right now? Everyone wanted it to fail and no one played it. Like, what? Like, so he's a little confused, but also I think there's some excitement around that IP for whatever reason at the moment. We'll see if anything comes of that.
Sure. Nothing.
But that does show the fickle nature of fans. And in some cases, I do think there's a bit of a mob mentality that goes along with it. Like, everyone else hates this, I'm going to chime in and hate it too. I think that's a real thing that happens.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In person, but also online. It just happens. I don't know why.
Because people are dumb, Tim. That's why.
Well, people are
very stupid.
I agree.
Their default mode is dumb.
That's right. That's right. Default setting. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
All right, guys. We are going to close out with a small little tournament here. It's not as big as some of the other ones we've done have like 70 or 80 entrants, and I've limited this to 32, so that way it's only
and this one
4 rounds.
Is like a fun, playful one, right? This is like a low stakes.
Nothing we do is fun and playful. We are only serious.
No,
I'm gonna destroy all of you.
Literally, if you guys don't agree with me, I'm murdering all of you.
Yeah. I will find where you live.
I cannot take you serious with that patch on your face. I'm not taking you serious.
That patch on my face?
All right, guys. What? So you can see can you see the screen? Can you see this tournament?
Yes.
Okay. So for you listeners and viewers, what we're doing here is basically who would win a fight. And so there was so many different video game characters, protagonist, antagonist, and everywhere in between that I could have pulled from. But I decided to limit this particular one, because maybe we'll do more in the future, to third-person action games, and we're going to focus in on more realistic-ish style fighting. So like no major magic or force powers from Star Wars characters, or super futuristic robotic powers. Maybe some, but not a ton. And so trying to keep it a little more grounded in reality. In a future one, it's going to be really fun to start to add in, like, so for example, Dante from Devil May Cry will be a great one to match up against other kind of super powered characters in a different bracket, but he's not going to fit in with this one. This one is more of the grounded in somewhat reality, and I say that with a little bit of a caveat, because some of these characters you're like, well, no human can fight like that. All right, fair enough, but it's closer to reality, if that makes sense. A little bit more of a fair matchup. So we have 23 here. I won't read them all off. If you're watching, you can see on the screen here, but you'll hear them as we go through. The seating that you'll see on here is completely random. It's not actually seated according to power level or whatever. We're not doing that. It was completely random. I just had the system randomly plug in an assignment and randomly set up the matchups. So here we go. You guys ready?
Yeah.
What we're doing is who would win in a fight, given their skill sets, normal gear they would have, and that's how. And it'd be nice if Kyle were here, so we had a tiebreaker. But hopefully, between the 4 of us, we can come to at least a 3-1, if not 4-0. And I don't really have a good plan for tiebreakers. We have to convince each other, I guess.
Yeah, this is fun. It reminds me of like back in high school, like Dragon Ball Z
Just-
conversations.
Yeah, just like silly debates about. I would do that with wrestling because
Sure.
that was my adolescence. Be like, no, man, Hulk Hogan would never beat Stone Cold.
Oh, dude,
you know,
yeah,
something
lots
like
of those
that.
kind of fights.
Yeah.
Or those kind of debates.
Or like
Big-
Goku versus like Superman, be like, well, who's really the strongest? Well, it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember the Sega kid in my class who was such a jerk would always talk about how easily Sonic could defeat Mario. I was like, this is such a
He,
dumb,
he absolutely could. Sonic
what a
could
dumb
destroy him.
conversation though. Like, I was like, yeah, but Mario's winning in the economic bracket, is he not?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so first matchup, Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series going up against Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. Who would win in that? Let's just go alphabetical for now. Maybe we'll kind of alternate. But Dan, we'll start with you. Maybe Derek will start with you next time, and so on. Who do you think wins?
Well, this is interesting, right? Because Nathan Drake literally murders like thousands of pirates, right?
He does.
And then cracks a joke right after, right?
But does he ever kill anyone with the skill? Like not
That's
easily.
what
at
I
least
mean.
The skill
Sam
set of a
Fisher
Sam Fisher
is like this, like trained, like like sneaking around, like with all
Yeah,
this.
Nathan
equipment.
Drake's never gonna see Sam Fisher coming.
No, I
never.
feel like he's not. No. So I feel like Sam Fisher definitely wins this one. Yeah.
Derek, you're on the same page of that one.
Yeah, Sam destroys Nathan.
And Jeff.
Yeah.
Now that's
These
unanimous.
are not just to anybody that's listening, watching, and feeling like, oh, so they're saying Splinter Cell is better than Uncharted.
Nope. This is not about the game
It's
or
not
the
about
character.
that. It's not about that at all.
This is not about an interest of the character.
It is
quality
for
of
me.
game.
I am
How
biased.
Dare you?
How
sir.
dare you?
I'm a huge
Listen
Splinter
here.
Cell fan.
Listen here.
You made
By the
me
way-
angry with my
by the way,
gestures.
While we're talking Splinter Cell, Ubisoft, where's my Splinter Cell? I mean,
Yeah,
give me
where-
more Splinter Cell.
And I don't mean put them in a loot shooter that's free.
While
I
we're
mean,
while we're whining about where's our games, Jimmy Ryan, bring Jimmy Ryan back up. I want my Twisted Metal. All right, bring me back.
Jimmy's taking a nap. Jimmy's taking a nap. You guys upset him
Jimmy-
earlier.
Jimmy used a lot of energy earlier. He needs the rest. All right, this next matchup is Senua from Hellblade against Jin Sakai from Ghost of
No woman's winning.
All right. No,
All right, so-
no. Let's
So
not.
Derek votes for
No.
Jin. Jeff?
Well, I'm going to use the same argument we did for Sam Fisher. Jin Sakai, depending on how you played him, he's stealth.
He's
Senua
a
was going to be
ghost.
Senua going to be so busy with her mind voices, she's not going to
Ooh,
see
yeah.
Jin coming.
I was gonna say she's gonna hear her own crazy emotions. She
She's going
can't.
to be too busy with who are you? Stop talking to me and stuff like that.
Well, I actually think that Senua really doesn't fight against anyone with the skill set of Jin Sakai. He's
Yeah.
like been trained his whole life as a fighter, and he is a master swordsman. She's a good swordsman who's really good against monsters specifically, not the best against a samurai. Get out of here! Like he's just too good. He's too good.
Yeah,
He's
there's
the
a lot
ghost.
of there's a lot of one-on-one with Senua. I never
Yes.
actually fully played that. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he's a freaking badass samurai.
Well,
like,
sometimes there are enemies behind the combat's not my favorite in that game. That's
Yeah.
It's got some satisfying kill animations, but playing the combat
Right.
isn't that great.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
there's somebody's
he's a-
behind me in Hellblade, I'm like, oh god, this scene.
Oh, and by the way, it's hard not to do this because I do this too, but we're not going on what combat from that game.
no,
is.
you're right. You're right. I was just
It's-
no, yeah, like
What we
his skill level is clear. Like
He
to me,
never-
Clearly.
She never
No,
struck me
this
as
this
like
was just man
game.
versus woman. Man wins.
Okay.
Move on.
All
All
right.
right.
Move on.
Can we get Derek out of here and then
Apply it right here. Man
I
versus
actually-
woman.
this is random that these two matched up. Jill Valentine from Resident Evil against Chris Redfield from Resident Evil.
Chris punched a freaking rock, dude.
Yeah, and that's not
Chris
realistic, so that's stupid. Like,
Punched a rock.
Okay.
I'm
is Jill
sorry.
Valentine a rock? I don't understand.
no.
what we're
So
talking
hold
about.
on. All right, let's Derek's being a fucking cartoon character as usual. I'm gonna pick Jill because Jill literally goes up against Nemesis, and he's terrifying, and he's just like this monstrosity that is just running at you, and he's
Okay.
stars, and he's
So
just
you think she's got
Sam.
survivability skills that will help her
Oh, yeah,
outlast
she's
Chris? in a
She's a
fight?
badass. Yeah.
All
like,
right.
Yeah.
And then
Dude.
Derek, you're picking
Dude.
Chris, right?
Dude, he punched a rock and fought
Oh my
Albert
God.
Wesker.
That game
Chris
is
Redfield.
dumb. That game is dumb.
Chris Redfield.
Jeff, do you have a pick here?
I wish I knew anything about. I mean, I know these character names just because I've heard them, but
You can call it a draw if you want to abstain. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll go ahead and abstain and let you guys.
I was
actually-
gonna say, just type in Chris Redfield guns, and you'll see his guns.
No, I'm picking Chris because of what I saw in Resident Evil Village. If it's that Chris Redfield, he's gonna demolish whatever.
Master
Yeah,
Valentine.
I'm picking Chris Redfield. on that one. And he's the original, right? He's the OG Resident Evil guy from the
Yep,
original.
he's OG.
So is Jill. So is Jill.
She was in the first one as a main character.
Yep.
Oh.
It was Jill and Chris. Yeah.
Shows what I know.
All
All
right,
right,
because nobody played as Joe.
All right, guys,
Come
we've
on.
got Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2 going up against
that's a good boy.
Wei Shen from Sleeping Dogs.
I'm gonna go with Wei Shen.
Yeah.
He's got the
Yeah.
martial arts and all that, and
Yeah, the fisticuffs. All
And
the,
I'm gonna
he
go
knows
with that because what Arthur's just gonna cough on him. What is he gonna do? Come on.
it's a long game he's playing.
well, you shoot in that game too, right? Like he knows how to shoot weapons. So
They both
Very
Yeah.
fast, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Hey,
think,
Yeah.
You know what? Oh crap! I might have to change it to Arthur because he will shoot way before he even knows what happens. Like,
so. I was gonna
In
throw
the
out
head.
there. What about his the Deadeye ability? Could he use that to his advantage in this?
yes, absolutely,
Could he take out Wei Shen's limbs so there's no more like karate happening? And then
probably.
are we considering that that's an actual thing that's happening, that he can slow down time?
yeah, that's a
We
good.
No,
have-
it's just how fast he
Payne
is as a
is
shooter.
on. Max Payne is on this as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Wei Shen would get the better of him though. I think he's
If
too
we're
he's
saying
too
no
young.
guns, then yeah. But
No, we're not saying no guns. You can
oh,
No,
pick
you
Arthur.
can absolutely have.
Yeah, I'm
but
going
Wei
Arthur.
Shen could have a gun too, and he can shoot as well.
So Derek's picking Wei Shen. I picked Wei Shen. Dan, you said Wei Shen too, right? From
Yeah,
two.
I would lean Wei.
I think it would be close. By the way, I think it would take a while for him to take Arthur out because Arthur,
Yeah.
he lives
I
through
mean,
all
Basically,
tuberculosis
if-
took a while too. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, if Arthur gets him before he gets in range,
Yeah.
then yes. But if Wei Shen got close to him, he's done. He's a done
Yeah.
deal.
All right, so we're gonna pick Wei Shen.
well,
Not like
that's a good boy.
be a pretty
We gonna
tough
have
fight,
a
though.
problem
Pretty tough
here. All right.
we got Aloy from Horizon going up against Max Payne.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah,
I mean, Aloy's fighting giant ass dinosaur robots. Like it's
I know.
obviously Aloy. I'm sorry. It just
Yes,
I'm gonna-
but technically, she's getting her ass beat most of the time.
I'm
well,
gonna
maybe
say
you are, but I'm not. So
I'm gonna say
No.
both of them. Both of
She
them
gets her ass
potentially
beat.
could have, if we're gonna use the time slowing abilities, whether or not they apply. They both
Sure.
kind of have the ability to slow down
They
time in
do.
different ways.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of
They
mixes
offset each other
out. Yeah. And I think Aloy has too many tools at her disposal, and her aim is ridiculous. So I think she.
I'm gonna pick Aloy because Max Payne's probably drunk.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna go with the
That's good.
non-alcoholic one. Yeah.
good.
But yeah, again, what she's going up against is higher stakes than what Max
Yeah.
Payne is going up against.
Definitely.
No,
Yeah.
once Max Payne hears Aloy talk, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just get drunk. You can
She's
take my life."
like, why do you keep talking about your stash?
Derek, I
understand."
just want to point out the female just beat a male in that one. All right, next one here. We've
I
got,
actually voted because I'm extremely progressive.
you are
He's
very progressive. That's
He's our
true.
most progressive podcast.
Thanks,
All right, we've
guys. I
got-
appreciate it.
Isaac Clarke from Dead Space going up against Ezio from Assassin's
Hmm.
Creed 2 and a few
Oh,
other
man.
Assassin's Creed
This
games.
is really easy for me. It's Ezio all day.
Yeah, because you got Isaac in a spacesuit, right, which has some weight to it,
Okay.
and he's stomping around,
You
right?
think Ezio will find like the weak spots
Yeah,
in
he's
his suit pretty easily?
extremely stealthy.
Yeah,
Stealthy
yeah.
in that
Yeah,
weight
he's
suit.
Ezio's like a master assassin, so he's sneaking
True.
around, and
You got me
Keeping his-
convinced. I'm gonna go Ezio too.
Yeah,
You
I'll
got me
go with the
convinced.
stealthy
stealth
thing.
guy too. Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
obviously Isaac's got like sci-fi weapons. He can shoot from afar and just
But
like
he's-
cut Ezio in half. But
But his specialty is against those alien monsters, right? Peeling them apart and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
more his thing. Okay. All right, guys, we got Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5 going
I
up
love
against
Trevor.
Marius Titus from Rise, Son of Rome.
who?
So essentially, it's think of like Roman soldier or gladiator style fighting up against Trevor.
Oh, it's definitely Marius.
What? No,
Trevor-
it's Trevor all the way. He's like MacGyver with killing people. He's just
He's also insane.
Yeah, but Marius Titus is like basically straight from 300.
I was gonna say he's
okay.
yeah, like a
He's
300
a
dude, right?
trained
Like,
fire. Yeah.
I would say, assuming he's got his full selection of gear with him, even if Trevor brings a machine gun, Titus likely will have a shield and be able to close the gap and take Trevor out, I think. So I'm going to go with Marius Titus.
I'm going.
Trevor is also probably
Trevor,
only
okay.
wearing his underwear right now.
also,
Dan, what
Trevor
do you
is
think?
like kind of like always stumble. He's got the drunk thing going on too, right? Isn't
Yeah,
Trevor all
absolutely.
like all hopped up on something?
He's always.
Yeah,
so I love
but
when you
he-
switch to Trevor. He like wakes up in a dumpster and stuff.
He's
Yeah.
a little. I feel like he's a little more functional than Max. Like when
I
when all the chips are down or whatever the expression is.
I've never played Son of Rome, but that sounds like he would have the upper hand because he's like an actual trained like fighter. So
Yeah, because he's like a Maximus or whatever the hell. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, yeah, he's kind of driven by revenge in that game too, from what I've seen at least, and it seems like he doesn't let much get him down, from what I can tell. All right, Lara Croft going up against Amicia.
Oh, jeez.
What? We shouldn't pit women against each other.
Lara Croft's gonna destroy her.
I'm actually
Yeah,
not
for
going to
sure.
vote on
No question.
on any of this because I don't believe in either one of them.
Okay.
They all
Dan,
suck.
Dan, you think Lara Croft would win? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Laura is way too tough.
Amicia would just whine the whole time.
She'd just
Good
be,
Lord,
Lord Hugo.
Lord, Hugo.
All right. Rico Rodriguez from the Just Cause games against main character from the Division. So think of like
that
hero.
one guy. Yeah.
That one
I'm
guy.
gonna go with Rico.
Yeah, Rico.
So
Yeah,
I think what
he's
Rico's
zipping
going to do
around,
is
right?
he's going to attach the Division character to something explosive, make them zip line together, game over.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got that zippy thing.
He's another MacGyver with killing people, but he's less demented than Trevor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
He's
Plus,
got
it's fun-
more tools too.
It's
He's
more
got
fun to
way
have a
more.
named character than just main character too. But all right, Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs going up against Abby from The Last of Us Part 2.
I'm going Abby.
Yeah, you can't hack Abby, dude. You can't.
I was
hack your
going to
way
say
to that.
she doesn't have anything that he can use his tools against really.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So I think she's going to beat him.
And
Dan, what do you think?
she's from a stealth game. She's also, I mean, so is Aiden, but
So is Aiden.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Her stealth's more aggressive, but yeah, she's still
Right.
stealthy.
I think
gonna
it'll
say
take
his,
her a while to find him, but once she does, he's done.
he's
That's how I
absolutely
think
done.
that fight would go.
Yeah, it's just two very different worlds, but yeah, like his sort of arsenal is centered around a lot of like technology and like hacking things, right?
Like if he were going up against Isaac from Dead Space, he might take him apart pretty easily with
Mhm.
the technology pieces that are involved there. But
Right. Yeah, because you can
Joel-
even was that Watch Dogs 1?
yeah,
Where he's from?
yeah.
So you
Yeah.
could just play. Well, I guess Watch Dogs 2 mainly. You could play the entire game without being seen, and that works that way because you have technology. Anyway,
I agree. Joel from The Last of Us, specifically Part 1, where he's kind of at his peak, just destroying things and people, against Celine from Returnal.
It's got to be Celine.
yeah, you got to go with the live die repeat person, right?
Yeah, that's kind of tough.
Joel could kill her. She just keeps coming back.
Hold
She'll
on, but
eventually-
that's I don't know if we could totally because then she just wins, right? She just wins this whole
yeah,
thing.
this is
True.
this is just a one-on fight, regardless
No,
of whether or not
I
she
would
resurrects.
still pick Celine. I would
Yeah.
still pick Celine.
Yeah, because she's
her,
got
her
charisma
arsenal's
and
way
all.
better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even her simple starter arsenal's too strong for him.
I mean,
would
if Joel,
think, right?
it's a similar, like you said, with closing in with Wei Shen, right? If Joel got in close, then yeah, maybe he would win. But she's got all the space shooty stuff,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's gotta
do
I
you
don't
think?
think Joel. I don't
Yeah.
think Joel's stealth enough.
Jeff, what do you think?
No, I'm with
Celine.
you guys. Celine,
Yeah, all right.
that's the right call.
We're extremely progressive right now.
Yeah, we are
We're doing,
so
we
really
are
are.
doing great.
we're gonna
All
win
right,
so many
guys.
awards from this episode.
Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War is going to fight it out with Max Rockatansky from
That's
Mad
a
Max.
terrible name.
I know.
I did not.
It's always
did
been
not
his name.
know that was his last
Yeah,
name.
it's
That
always
is
been his last
absolutely
name, yeah.
terrible.
So this is an interesting
Marcus,
one.
because
Right?
his last name is dumb.
Yeah, they both have dumb names, let's be honest. But here's the thing. If cars are involved, at least at first, Max has a good shot at this.
Right.
But as soon as Marcus gets him out of the car, I don't think it's close.
Yeah, Marcus wins
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, Max isn't a shooter. He's a brawler.
Yeah.
But
a very
also
proficient
Marcus. But Marcus is also a trained soldier too. Like he's another. Like
He's a beefy dude, right? I mean, those.
he's a high level, extremely muscular soldier.
Yeah,
I think-
I'll go with. We talked about Arsenal in the last round. I'll go with Marcus on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
I
with
mean,
you
he's
on
got a
that one.
chainsaw gun. He's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to.
Don't get
and
me
he's
wrong,
good at,
though.
and he's good at taking
Max
cover.
has that rage when he's a brawler that
He
just
does.
rips people apart.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Which
Marcus
makes
isn't
that-
going to let him get that close.
Which makes that game so fun. Ryoma from Like a Dragon Ishin going up against Ellie from The Last of Us Part 2.
So it's a samurai versus a skinny white girl.
I'm gonna go with Samurai.
Yeah, I don't even know who Ryoma
I
is.
think
but-
Ellie does a lot of sneaking around. Might even get a couple stabs in on him with her little knife or whatever. But
Oh, yeah.
I think Ryoma's going to
With her
defeat him.
silencer with the cloth around
I was
it.
gonna say he's kind of good at detecting that, right? So he's a samurai. He's a very focused like warrior. Like
Yeah, I don't think she'll be able to truly get a full hit on him, which is why he'll win. So that's what I think. All right, sorry, Ellie, you're out.
All right. I was gonna go with Ellie actually, but
Let's change it. Let's change it.
Let's for the
Can I?
accuracy of the all votes count. Okay, we're not gonna rig this one.
All votes
Right,
matter.
All right, there we go. Okay.
we need a recount.
Lucky Ryoma.
Now we got Leon Kennedy going up against Lincoln Clay from Mafia
man.
3.
Go ahead, Derek. Tell us what does Leon do? Does he punch
Oh,
a
he's
building?
he's gonna roundhouse kick him
He's
in the
gonna
face.
John Wick the shit out of him, right?
Yeah. By the way, I just
I don't
wanted
know,
to point
man.
out that Ryomo and Kazumi Kira from Yakuza are basically the same person. So I just want them two to meet in the final. So
If
can
they
both,
meet, they would meet here in round 3 because it looks like
that's
he's right
what sucks,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
they should totally meet. I'm voting Leon for sure. Leon would destroy
here. I
him.
don't know, Lincoln Clay with that big combat knife.
Yes,
Dude, but
Leon's
Leon's
knife
hair.
and,
But Leon's hair.
and Lincoln has a bloodlust that is like, it's incomparable. Like just the way that they tell the stories too, where they're like the CIA basically just points and tells him where to go, and he'll like wreck villages and
Yeah, they
stuff.
both
in
have
Vietnam.
with
They
Leon
both have
though?
a pretty
Like,
big arsenal.
yeah, I was gonna say with
Yeah.
Leon, like which Leon are we talking about? Because it's like, is it newbie Resident Evil 2 Leon, or are we talking like
Oh,
you know,
Resident Evil
Grizz-
6,
Grizzled
he
Leon,
literally
like-
just roundhouse kicks the entire game. Like that's
Like,
all
friggin'
you have to
Leon,
do.
we
you
could
know?
split the difference and say it's
I'm
RE4.
gonna say he's good with a knife too. I mean, you literally have a knife fight in Resident Evil 4. Like he's
Yeah.
deflecting, like kind of deflecting this knife.
You know what? That's a good point. I think that
Yeah,
gives
that's
him
a
the
good point.
edge because
Yeah.
Lincoln's main thing is going to be coming at him with that combat knife when they're getting close, and then he knows how to
Yeah.
defend against that.
But
All
it
right, I'm
depends.
going-
Did Lincoln hack the junction box to get
going-
to wiretap and get dirt on Leon so we could recruit him and blackmail him? I'm just saying.
Did he read enough Playboy magazines?
Are we
To
Yeah, I
take
know. Did he
advantage of
collect
Leon?
enough Playboy or vinyl covers or?
Jeff, are we giving Lincoln one vote for you?
Oh yeah, give him a vote for me because Lincoln
right.
with a bullet in his head is a different animal. That's all I'm saying.
Very true. Very, very true.
Now, John Marston from Red Dead Redemption going up against
Marston!
Agent 47 from Hitman.
Arthur.
Oh, I mean,
I gotta go with Agent.
Yeah, it's gotta be
47. He's
Agent
just gonna
47.
Dude, I
snipe him
think-
from like
listen,
9 miles away.
I love John Marston, but he won't even see Agent 47. He'll dress up
No.
like one of his friends and get close to
Right.
him and then
Yeah.
kill
Right.
him.
Is that a barcode on the back of your neck?
And yeah, dude,
it's gonna be Agent 47.
that was a good voice. Dude. That was really good. Dude, Marston, I love him, but he's not the brightest light bulb in
He's an extremely lucky protagonist in my opinion. Like unlike in terms of like his combat, like in how
Right,
he's able
right,
to survive. Whereas Marston is more weathered and he's like a brick
Agreed.
shithouse a little bit. But
Well, guys, we have to channel our inner Kyle here because these are two of his favorite franchises. We got
Oh,
Kazuma
man.
from Yakuza going up against Solid Snake from Metal Gear
Oh,
Solid.
it's Solid Snake all day.
yeah, it's
all
all
day.
it's Snake. Like it's Snake. Like
Okay.
absolutely.
Because he has the same fighting ability. In fact, he gets beat up way less than Kazuma. Kazuma just gets his ass handed to him all the time. Solid Snake has the same fighting ability, but he's also stealth. So
Yeah,
He also has
I'm going-
he has the CQC, right?
He's got
Isn't that a thing?
CQC. He literally is a stealth master. He fights
Alright.
giant machines
You guys
called
got me
Metal
convinced.
Gears. Like
I'm convinced
like-
on this.
Yeah, I'll
one.
go with you guys on
Yeah,
Snake.
Solid
Yeah.
Snake. Yeah, you got me convinced on that one. All right, now we are into round 2 here. Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell going up against Jin Sakai from Ghosts of Tsushima. Let's see if I can get
I'm
this to
gonna-
go.
This is actually interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's swords versus guns.
In fact, Jin it does some sneaky
They-
too.
No, swords versus guns, so they can both stealth. It's just whether
Oh,
you
sure.
think Sam can shoot Jin before Jin stabs him.
Sure.
Oof, this is a tough one.
Jin has some range. He can just smoke bomb him, and you know.
He can.
He does
Um,
have arrows, right? He can shoot arrows.
and he's got
right?
those whatever they're called.
Can you
I'm
shoot
gonna actually pick Sam Fisher just because he's gonna turn all the lights off.
Uh-huh.
He's gonna use night vision, and
Okay.
Ghost is done.
Okay,
Oh man, the night vision is such a cheat, but that's true.
it's
Hmm.
true. Yeah,
Uh,
my gut tells me Sam Fisher would win this one. because they both have stealth skills, so those sort of offset each other as they're both. It would take forever for this fight to happen. By the way, they're both going to hide for a long time, and then
It's like
Sam
the-
Fisher would eventually win. I think he'll just wait till Jin like comes into
Gets
view.
tired.
I was gonna say it's almost like the Metal Gear Solid 3 fight with that sniper dude. The end.
Yeah. Yes.
Where that fight just keeps going and going.
Sam is
like,
the end for Jin. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard.
Yeah, I'll
two.
go along with that. I can buy that logic. I'll go with Sam too.
yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I came in with
Sam,
thinking,
Sam will bore Jen to death. That's all.
Jin will be like, you know what? Just shoot me. This is getting really old. All right, Chris Redfield going up against Wei Shen from Sleeping Dogs. I'm going to go with, based on how we talked about both of these guys before, I think Chris Redfield takes out Wei Shen in this particular case. Too strong
Go ahead.
and
Go ahead.
the arsenal.
Yeah, go ahead and say it, Dan. What did Chris Redfield do again?
Oh my
He
God.
punched
You literally
king rock.
can't make that a point because that's
I don't-
nonsense.
I don't know what that even means. What are you talking about?
There's
Like D-Rock,
just
he punched
there's a
Dwayne
dumb
Johnson?
there's literally a scene where he punches a, but it's just that's nonsense because that's not realistic. He's not super
punches a
soldiered
boulder.
up or anything. He's not super soldiered up or anything, so it doesn't make any sense. It's not plausible. Like
Chris Redfield
no.
punches
Alright.
a rock.
Jeff, what do
But
you
I
think?
mean, he does have the power
By
on his
default, I
side.
have to go with Wei Shen because that's the character I'm
Yeah,
familiar
Wei
with.
Shen.
I'm
Okay.
familiar with their
Uh-huh.
skill set.
I think Chris Redfield is still like stronger though, and he does like have training, like he can do hand-to-hand combat. So
All right, so Redfield wins that round. Aloy going up against Ezio.
Oh, this
from
is a good one.
Assassin's
I think
Creed.
Ezio would seduce Aloy and
Oh my
then murder her in her sleep. That's
Dude,
what
she
I
has
think.
no interest in any other humans.
No.
But
No.
but I'm telling you,
I
if
think
you
she might be
remember
autistic,
Ezio,
if I'm being honest.
She might be
literally
autistic.
Ezio can literally flirt with anybody. He totally nails
I don't know why that
Aloy
has to
and
be
then
part of
murders
it,
her.
but Aloy would not see
I don't
him
know.
coming at all to me. So I would
Oh,
go as-
I agree. She would not see.
I don't know.
him
She's got that
coming.
vision to be able
Oh,
to like
God.
mark everybody, right? She can kind of hide and like mark all the enemies in the area. She might see him coming.
I get it. Like coming. Oh.
Like C-U-M-M-I-N-J.
So I do think Aloy will win this one personally. I think she's got too much.
her
too much
her
weaponry.
survivability is just like again
I'm going
me, it's like-
Ezio.
what she's going up against in her world is tougher than anything Ezio would be going up against.
That's a good point too.
I think he would be a tough fight for her, but I think she's taken out guys, plenty of humans like Ezio as well, who are stealthing around and stuff like that.
I mean,
in
she
her
is
world.
stealthing around, and again, she's
So.
dealing with like multiple like giant dinosaur things, small dinosaur things. She's having to sneak around, like she's familiar with stealth.
Horizon's one of those games where I'm scanning nonstop. I think she would scan, spot him, take him out.
That's a good point. I forgot about the little
Scan
optic
people,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with. Damn. Okay, I'll go with Aloy.
It's a close one.
Yeah, we got to keep it moving, so
Close
why not?
All right, Aloy takes out Ezio.
Sorry, Ezio. I believed in your seducibility, but whatever.
You love
Well,
Ezio though.
Let's see if anyone gets seduced in this one. Marius Titus from Rise, Son of Rome, going up against Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Jeff, what do you
gonna
think first?
Well, I think first off, Marius Titus is a horrible name for a protagonist.
Pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, Marius Titus. There's too much isses going on at the end. There's too much. It's
Riser,
too
son of
issy, is what I'm
Romus?
trying to say. Yeah, I'll go with the gladiator guy. He's just a guy like that. I assume he's like some type of gladiator where I don't know. He's combat hardened, and Lara Croft is just like lucking out with finding bows and arrows and guns. Like, I mean, that's
Okay.
really, and that's not her main goal anyway. He is combat, like,
She's just
a
tying
soldier,
pieces
right?
of cloth around where she's been injured
Yeah.
again.
that's not her forte. Like, he is a combat veteran. So
a
I would
You
scavenger
go-
and a
you
scrapper.
gotta look at it differently, and that she's going to seduce him with her triangle
with
chest.
her treasures.
God,
So-
God damn it.
Laura
Derek, you're picking
Croft.
Laura?
With
Uh,
her triangle boobs.
no,
Are
I
we
think
gonna
it's
change the name of this tournament to who wins in the seduction?
Yeah, we
change
could
the name to
we could do a seduction bracket.
Derek makes dumb points.
Dan, what do you think? Who do you think wins
Punching
this fight?
boulders and boobs, for God's sakes. I think it's similar with like, yeah, she's got guns and stuff like Trevor does, but like he's this freaking Spartan soldier type dude that I think he kind of just has a little bit of the upper hand. So
Yeah, I think he's too strong. For
You guys do not believe in the art of seduction. This is ridiculous.
because that's literally not a factor here. These people are trying to murder each other. They're not trying to bang. Like
I'm gonna
now
make this one quick. Rico.
Rico against Abby. So Rico from
He's
Just
just gonna
Cause
blow
going
up
up
the
against
stage.
Abby from Last of Us Part 2.
Rico's good with traps, so I don't know.
It's true.
Yeah, I think he just has like the better arsenal. I think he has
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He literally will
Yeah.
blow up the entire
Yeah,
arena.
so Rico would take out Abby in a one-on-one fight. I agree
Yeah.
with that. All right, Celine from Eternal going up against
this
Marcus
is a good one.
Phoenix from Gears of War.
Hmm.
This would be like so many bullets would be shot in this battle. So many bullets.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Marcus with his chainsaw.
But
gonna
like maybe
chainsaw her to
it's
death.
a whole bunch of them taking cover and like unloading on each other, and then like he would keep trying to advance to get closer and closer.
Well, so
I think he would like take cover and he would just be like looking at her as she's just zipping around everywhere. Like, what is she doing? And you just shoot her.
we weren't taking into account her like returning multiple times, right? Because that's not fair.
No.
Yeah.
So this is
It's about like a one-time.
it's
fight.
just
this
her
is Celine
fighting
in the
skills.
beginning, right? Where she doesn't. The whole thing with her and the story of her returning is like she's also getting better at like surviving because she keeps going over and over and over and over.
No, we're
But this is,
killing
like,
her at her
beginning
rookie
Celine.
stage.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is like her in the beginning. So Marcus
She's just
is
running
like,
around and jumping while he's in cover. So
Yeah.
he wins.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think Marcus takes this one.
I'll go with Marcus. Yeah.
All right. Ryoma from Like a Dragon Ishin going up against Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil.
Samurai versus. I mean, Leon again. He's got in close and range and perfect hair. He wins.
I'm gonna go with Ryoma. I think a samurai would be able to take out Leon.
I just
I'll
don't
go
think
with I'll
too
go with
much
the guy who John Wick's infected or whatever people. I'll go Leon.
Leon.
What is it? Biden called him a loot goblin. It's great.
What do you think, Dan? Who would win this fight?
I think in this case, guns does help, but again, he's also good with knives, so he could literally catch even with his knife. He would catch the blade, like and kind of maybe.
It would be a John Wick situation where
he
he
would
block with the blade and shoot him.
He would at least be able to block it long enough and block enough hits to take him out with his guns. But keep in mind, Ryoma also has a gun, doesn't he? In that game.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He has like one of those 6 shooters or something.
But it's like a.
It's one of those you fire one shot and then go, give me 5
shooter.
minutes, I'll get back with you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now we got Agent 47 going up against Solid Snake.
Man.
So we have Agent 47 dressed up as a janitor with Solid Snake in a box right beside him.
Yeah. They're all just like they're both at one point they're like so distracted with their disguise jobs that they're literally just doing their job. Like
just
he's literally just being a chef. Like he's like, I forgot I gotta kill this guy. Because we're both like
here's what I think
doing our
happens. I think
jobs.
Agent 47 knows that Solid Snake's hiding in the box, and he tries to garrote wire the box, but the cardboard saves Solid Snake's life. He's able to shoot through the box, take out 47. I think Solid Snake.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
I still would have preferred like a seducing story, but
Oh my
fine.
word,
If you want to shoot through a box, go ahead.
What is wrong with you?
I think Snake would take out 47. I think his overall fighting skills are higher, even though 47 is awesome. I think Snake.
47's like he's the like one of the ultimate sneaky sneaks, right?
He's a great assassin.
I
not necessarily
just
the best
think
soldier.
like they're equals from distance. I think Solid Snake would destroy him up close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, he fights
close,
giant machines.
If 47, if the arena they were battling in had some sort of sniping thing, it'd be really close, and 47 might barely win if it was just a sniping battle. But assuming
I don't know. I feel like if one person could sneak up on Solid Snake, it would be Agent 47, since he has that adaptability to be anybody.
Potentially, yeah.
I'll go with Agent 47. I'll be the one Agent 47 guy.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Dan, what do you think? Who would win this?
No,
one?
definitely Snake. Yeah, definitely Snake.
You guys are racist towards.
We're honoring
bald
Kyle.
people?
Bald people.
White people. White people.
All right, here we go.
Both
Getting
white?
down to it here. Eight participants left. Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell against Chris Redfield from Resident Evil. I'm going to kick it off by saying I think Sam Fisher wins this one. I think Chris Redfield's run of punching rocks comes to an end. And
it's boulders. Those are bigger than rocks.
All right. Well, I think Sam Fisher
Change the rock size now.
I think Sam Fisher has made a living off of killing guys just like Chris Redfield. These over-the-top soldier types who are super strong, but Sam Fisher knows how to mark his targets ahead of time, set the stage, stealth in. I don't think it's too difficult for him to take out Chris Redfield.
I'll go with that logic. I'll go with Sam. I'm not too educated on either, but yeah, I'll go with Sam.
I'll say that because we haven't had a Splinter Cell game in forever, it's because Sam Fisher's already dead, while
Oh.
Chris Redfield keeps living on in Resident Evil. So I'm voting Chris Redfield.
Chris Redfield. All right, Dan, what do you think?
Very terrible at this. Very terrible at this. That's the thing. I haven't really played enough of Sam Fisher games.
Yeah, but you kind of know his.
He's like
skills.
he's such
I mean,
like
he's
an
basically
expert,
like Solid Snake.
Yeah,
He's-
he's such
basically
an
like
expert
Solid-
sneaky snake.
If those two meet in the final, I don't know who's going to win. That'd be a tough one. But anyway,
I guess I guess he would be so good at like sneaking around that like Chris wouldn't be finding him and he could like just snipe him with his little silenced pistol or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think Sam perhaps has the slight edge.
Basically, a stealth character is for sure 100% going to win this because that's the one logic all four of us have agreed on. Is like any stealth character, we're like, yeah, you just stealth kill him.
yeah. Well, it depends
mean-
on if we think they're aware enough to stop it, right? Like
how good their
Aloy-
stealth is, you know.
Like Aloy has the ability to really spot
Yeah,
pretty much
could.
anybody. But now she's going up against the Rise Son of
Somebody
Rome fella,
who has a huge shield.
Marius Titus Risus Sonus of Romus, and he's going up against Aloy from Horizon. So
She's
I don't
dealing
know.
with guys like that too, though, right? I mean,
She
there's
is.
situations where she's going up
heavily
against
armored and shielded
yeah,
things all the time.
and she's having to shoot the armor off to show
what
their
if she
weakness.
uses her tear ability to like rip his
Right.
armor and shield apart?
Well, actually, yeah, that's
She would
exactly. That's
she would
literally-
win just because
Yeah.
of her her
Ar-
poison
arsenal.
bows and her fire.
She's got a
arrows
crazy
and all that
arsenal, whereas he's a little too minimal with
Yeah.
his 300ness, with his
Yeah, I
Spartanness.
think Aloy takes
Like
him
again,
out.
if he got
Yeah.
close, right? Like then if he gets his hands on her, perhaps then he's throwing her around.
Yeah,
right?
it's
no-
game
yeah,
over.
she's
Yeah,
No stealth involved here, but it's all about the gear. I think she's able to overwhelm him with her
yeah,
variety of arrows
Yeah.
and bombs and stuff.
I agree.
Marcus Phoenix going up against Rico Rodriguez
Ooh.
for Just Cause.
This one's
Oof.
interesting.
Yeah. I think Rico would try to attach Marcus to some kind of explosive thing, but Marcus would just yank him down to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Or
He-
use
he's
a
a
chainsaw
solid
to
as
cut
that.
it before they could explode. He used a
Yeah,
chainsaw
that's
to cut
true.
it.
Yeah,
And
So I
no
don't
more-
think I don't think
no
his
more grapple
his,
hook. Rico would be
yeah.
screwed.
because that's his main thing, right? Is the grapple hook. That's his trump card.
Yeah, I
So-
think Marcus takes him out. I don't know, Derek. What do you think?
I'll go with Marcus because he uses cover and he has a arsenal
brute.
that's just as powerful as Rico. He's
Yeah.
got grenades. He's got a heavy artillery.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, Rico is not to.
But Rico can throw a hell of a football. I'll say that. Rico can throw a hell of a football.
Not to be reductive, but I guess that's the point when we make arguments. But yeah, Rico's just really good with his toys, and Marcus is a brute, and he's a soldier. So I mean,
He'll take over.
yeah, he'll win. Rico's just a rich guy with a lot of toys. That's all it is.
Marcus moving on to the final four. Last final four spot is going to be filled by either Leon Kennedy or Solid Snake. This is a
Gotta
tough
be
one.
Solid Snake.
This is a tough one. Because they almost have equal skill sets if you look at those games and how they're portrayed. They're
Yeah.
both masters of close quarters combat, whether it's with fists or with knives. And they are excellent with their arsenal. They both have amazing arsenals of guns to choose from. I guess Solid Snake might
My
have a sniper
only-
advantage over him, but
I would say the sniper advantage, but also the stealth advantage. So
Yeah,
we've
and-
been giving props to stealth to every character. I
So,
think Solid Snake is more
I think-
stealthy.
I think Leon would be like just a notch below as far as like close quarters combat. Just a
That's
slight
fair.
notch below Solid
Because
Snake.
his game doesn't say CQC. Is that why?
yeah, Resident
Yes,
Evil
yes,
doesn't say
exactly, yeah,
CQC.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I'm giving it to him just for that.
It's not even that they just say it; they overstate it.
They
They're
say
like,
it all the
CQC.
time.
CQC.
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 Colonel,
Jeff, do you have a thought on this
I'll
one?
go with I'll go with what you guys have said about Snake so far, and just based on what I mean, I haven't played any of those games, but just based on what I know about his abilities.
Just
And in-
give
and in honor of
Snake
Kyle.
5 votes. Yeah, give 5 votes for
We'll throw
Kyle's
Chris on
here
there.
in spirit.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah, there you Kyle, you got a vote right there.
Although who knows, he might have picked Leon with our luck.
I feel like he would pick Snake. I feel like
an
he
evil
would.
guy. I
Uh-oh.
think I broke it by trying to hit
Oh
that.
no. Oh no.
See if it'll let me do it.
Oh,
again.
really?
It's like no,
Okay.
this 4 here, right?
Four only.
How dare you put 5?
Yeah. All right, guys. Final 4. We've got Sam Fisher and Aloy facing off in round number 1.
All right, so let's be pragmatic about this, guys.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Who's seducing who? No, I'm just kidding.
Aloy has no
so-
ability to.
So
seduce
Sam is
anything.
definitely the upper hand stealth wise, right?
Yes, although Aloy is no slouch.
But
She's got
Aloy
a-
has
she's got
her.
a thing.
She's got the thing that can sense where he is.
But so
though.
does
if
he.
it's-
He's
if
got
it's
the
dark.
goggles, so they
He's
can
got
both.
goggles
So I think all their stealth is negated in this match.
negated.
I think it comes down to Sam Fisher has the better arsenal, like as far as
Does he, though?
quicker shooting. What's
Oh,
his
'cause he's got
easier
guns.
to
Sure, he's got
fire a
guns,
bow
yeah.
or shoot a gun? I think he would shoot her
Sure.
before she could get a shot off.
She has a shield, right? Doesn't she have a shield?
In the first one, you can get that like armor that basically you have to hit her like a zillion times to break through
Right,
it. But
I mean
all
like an
for
actual
other
shield,
stuff-
right?
I
Doesn't she
think
have a shield?
No.
So
No.
So I think
No.
Yeah.
Aloy usually has the upper hand when it comes to like taking down heavily armored brutes that are charging her. Like we just
Right.
talked about with the guy from Rise.
Mhm.
I don't think she's really great at people who fight kind of like she does. I feel like she'd be a little bit taken off.
Yeah, she
Moving
might be
off
out of her
course.
element with this guy.
But I could
Sam's
be
a
wrong.
pro.
Yeah.
He would run circles around
I think
her,
she'd get him a couple times. She'd probably surprise him with a couple of arrows.
I don't know if he'd run circles around it necessarily, but he has the more modern equipment, so he
Yeah.
could just be pegging. He could be, kind of pegging away at her, like shooting, even if she is somehow dodging
They'll
or
be pegging her, all right. Let me tell you.
Okay.
getting behind cover, right? Like she could get
Did
behind.
you get
cover,
that
but-
joke earlier when I was saying coming, but I meant it like CUMMING?
No, Derek, we all
Oh,
got
I,
it.
I didn't get it at
Did
all.
you guys
We
get
all-
it? Okay, I
we
just
all
wanted to
got
make
it.
sure.
What does that
We all
mean?
got it.
Okay.
I don't listen most of the time. So.
Jeff, who do you think
I
wins
thought
this one?
I thought it was a great joke.
I'll go with Sam Fisher because if the stealth elements, they both have very great stealth options at their disposal. So
They do.
if they offset each other, then Sam Fisher's going to win to me. It's like Jason Bourne versus Aloy at that point.
Yeah,
And
that's
and
true.
you're not. I'm sorry. He's good with environmental crap. So not going to get very far.
What do you think, Dan? Who's going to win this battle?
I think it would be close, but yeah, I suppose Sam would edge out there. So.
And Derek, what do you think?
Sam.
Yep, I think Sam takes
Sammy
her down.
boy.
Good job, Aloy. You made it to the final 4. That's a pretty good run.
Now
Marcus
she's got to go
Phoenix.
back to her stash. Oh man.
Marcus-
Stash.
I'll put that in my stash. Marcus Phoenix
Did
going
you
up
guys
against
know that I
Solid
was the
Snake.
hero? I was the hero. I was the hero, guys.
Marcus Phoenix of Gears of War against Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. What do you guys think? Who wins this one?
Well, I think Phoenix's advantage he had over a lot of the characters he's fought so far was that he's military and he's a big brute and he has a great arsenal. Solid Snake matches him in all those. Like, no,
Yeah.
he's not a big brute, but he's more stealthy.
Oh.
He's got
Agility
the same
plays in his
arsenal.
favor. Yeah.
He's definitely going to have better CQC. He's got better CQC.
I mean,
So
Marcus
I
is
go
a beefy
solid.
boy, though. Marcus is a beefy boy.
He's a beefy
like,
boy.
I think he could overpower him, but like Snake is like, I don't know, he's like faster, perhaps.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
he'd maybe kind of be, I don't know, like in their sort of CQC. Yeah.
When you think of like Metal Gear Solid 5, when he does his CQC, he gets those hits off before
Well,
Marcus Phoenix.
That's a
can even
different
be
Snake,
over, yeah.
technically, but
So the reason I would pick Solid Snake in this
Spoilers.
one is I think Marcus Phoenix doesn't fight a lot of enemies like Snake, and he would have a hard
Sure.
time. Whereas Solid Snake, a lot of his bosses, at least in every game, there's one boss who's kind of Marcus Phoenix like a big dude with a chainsaw-like weapon that can shoot from a distance.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he's used to
I'm
taking
going
down
solid.
guys like Phoenix.
This really is going to boil down to two sneaky guys.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be Sam Fisher versus Solid. I knew
God
Yeah,
it.
damn
I'll go
yeah.
Snake. I think
It's
I
going to be
think-
Snake.
Yeah, I think Snake is patient enough to take down a brute, and he's agile, like I said. So.
Well, there we go, guys. We've got. How are we
I
going
would
to
say
decide
we're
this?
not very progressive, to be honest with you.
No.
I thought we were.
You know what? Before
we're
we get
not.
to our final matchup, let's do the third place matchup: Aloy versus Marcus
Okay.
Phoenix.
Oh well, we've already established she can take down brutes.
I think
so-
she would. I think she would take him out.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Sony takes out Microsoft in this case.
But I mean, but
I
there's
mean,
the gun.
I'm
there's
gonna
the gun
I'm
thing,
gonna
though,
vote
right?
Marcus because of the guns and chainsaw
Okay,
and the
all right.
fact that he's not gonna be standing out in the open like, hey, I'm a dinosaur.
But again, she
Well,
she
she
has the
cover. Yeah.
she does have the element of sneaking. She can do some sneaking, right?
Yes,
And she'll know where he is. He has no equipment to know where she is.
Yeah.
So she's got her thing, her scan thing, so she could be sneaking around the best she can.
She's
scans where
taking
he
down
is.
bigger and
Yeah.
But he has no defense for the sneakiness like some of the
Yeah.
other like Sam did or Snake would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had 1 for Marcus and 3 for Aloy.
Yeah, because we're progressive like that. So
We'll give her
Yeah.
third place. We'll give her
Yeah.
third place.
God damn
you know
it.
what? You deserved it, Aloy. Okay, not because of your identity, but because
job.
of your hard work.
All right, guys.
I sounded like Jordan Peterson a little bit when I said that.
Go play in the
That's what this is
WNBA.
about.
That's not exactly
Alright.
what it's about. It's just
Sam
damn it.
Fisher.
You sound
versus
like
Solid
Jordan
Snake.
Peterson and Kermit.
Kermit.
The
Yeah, he
frog.
does have a
The
Kermit.
frog.
It kind of
With a
does
little
have
touch of-
Kermit
little
quality
touch of
to him, you
Mickey
know?
Well, isn't that a thing? Isn't that a thing?
That is the thing, I think. Sam
is.
Fisher versus
Sam
Solid
Fisher.
Snake. Who?
Gotcha.
How do you pick who wins this? What do you guys think?
You
Um,
don't.
I think they just both get tired of trying to find each other and fall asleep and then hug it out later.
Yeah.
I think it's
So-
about it.
I think one of the main things
Yeah.
is what Snake goes up against occasionally, which is Metal Gears.
Yes.
These giant machines.
Yes.
Like he's fighting these things as a human being,
Right.
taking out these Metal Gears, right?
like
So-
Aloy.
right.
Right.
So there's that, leaning in his advantage.
Okay. Yep.
They're both experts at stealth. They both
Mhm.
have, modern day weaponry. Although technically in like the Metal Gear Solid universe, it is like sort of near future a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
not totally futuristic, but there's like weapons that don't necessarily they're not quite of this time, but
Yeah. I think they
I
both have
think
the
if
ability to
you were-
surprise each other. I don't think they have. Do they have really good detection of other people in stealth? Because I think like Solid Snake when he's fighting the ninja guy who goes invisible, he has trouble with that for a little bit there. So like I don't know if they can detect stealth super well. Maybe
Well, he's
Sam
the-
can with his goggles, but
why can't I remember the samurai's knife?
Solid has goggles too. I think they're basically evenly.
they're basically
matched.
even. Yeah. How do you
It really
Yeah, in the
comes
stealth
down
area.
to
Yeah.
the only. I would kind of agree with Dan. The only thing that I can think of that differentiates is and again, I know we're not judging based off of like which game we like better, but Sam just fights humans, so he's the master assassin of humans. Solid
Yeah.
fights
Gray
everything.
Fox. Jesus,
Like,
why couldn't I remember Gray Fox?
Gray
Sorry.
Fox. Yeah.
He's
There
the
you go.
master assassin of everything, so he can take on anything. So I would go with Solid Snake because of that.
Okay. And now, Jeff, you haven't played either of these.
I played some Splinter Cell, but I mean it's been a long
It's been a minute.
time.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards Solid Snake because I do think he has the upper hand in close quarters combat. Maybe not by a lot. It might just be by a smidge. But I think if they were to have no weapons allowed, just a fist fight, I think Snake would win between those two.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think they have equal gear, equal stealth skills, strength, speed, all that stuff is like identical. I think
But Snake has better
barely
survivability. Yeah.
So I think he wins with close quarters combat. I think they have equal survivability. Have you played all the Splinter Cell games? Sam Fisher lives through some crap.
Right. Well, no. So what I mean is because Snake is literally surviving into some like kind of post-apocalyptic. Because Metal Gear Solid 4 is like the whole world is like war torn. Like things are kind of like
Right.
a little dire in like the whole world, and he's like obviously aging super fast, etc. So
Well, Sam
Um,
Fisher goes undercover and at one point is being full-on manhunted by every government agency in the world and is still surviving.
Yeah.
And sneak. So like I think they both have that strength. But I think
Yeah,
Solid Snake takes down. You're right. Big old machine. He has to solve all kinds of different enemy types more than Sam probably does. And
Yeah.
I think he throws a stronger punch.
yeah.
So I go Solid too.
Yeah. I think we're all on board with Solid Snake being our
My Snake
champion.
is pretty solid for this choice.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I got the
okay.
solidest
Okay.
snakes.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah.
There's our first who would win bracket. Well done, Solid Snake. You fought a good fight, buddy.
Duh,
I
duh.
like that kind of stuff because it really has nothing to do with like is something
Yeah.
good or not. It's just
Exactly.
our child imaginations, basically.
It's
is what that is.
ridiculous, and I like ridiculous.
I love it. And
I'm
that's
here
why I'm
for
glad
it.
I limited it to 32, because that could have taken forever with a bigger bracket. So,
Right.
all right. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you all for watching, listening. That wraps us up for this week. Next week, it's time to talk some new games. Dead Island 2, the Forbidden West DLC. There's a few things. The Advance Wars games will be out. We'll have more to talk about next week. But for now, hope you guys are enjoying your gaming. We'll talk to you later. Peace.